Not putting it.
Laptop?
Yes, everyone's unmuted and it's live.
We're on Zoom.
And do we have?
I mean, we
Yeah.
have.
We have
On
Max up.
Zoom. We
Yeah.
have.
Okay,
So did we open the meeting or anything?
yes, maybe we should start from the
wanna
beginning though.
Okay.
I think so, right?
We're
Well,
being
we
recorded,
read-
Jesse?
Read
No.
the sunshine compliance statement,
Yeah, we can actually.
and we did the
approve
pledge of
the
allegiance.
minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's where
let's,
we left off.
Okay,
Okay,
hang on one second. I just wanted to say, when we were in the other room, we were having some technical difficulties. We did take a motion, just to recap, we took a motion to go into closed session to discuss matters of attorney-client privilege. We are back out. No action needs to be taken about that, but as you can see, we've now moved into the conference room because the hookup for remote attendees was not functioning in the council, in the committee chambers, but is good here. So we're all here with the windows open and life goes on. We have already completed the sunshine compliance statement, the salute to the flag. We've had a roll call. Tracy, you marked that I did come in a little bit late.
Yeah.
And we're up to approval of minutes, from the October 13th, 2022 meeting. I will abstain from that because I wasn't at that meeting. Is there, has everybody reviewed the minutes from that meeting? Any additions or deletions, changes? Okay, can we have a motion to approve those minutes from October 13th?
motion,
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? No, we have to take a roll call because I'm out of it, sorry.
okay.
Okay, Stephen Weiner,
yes.
Tracy Kathleen. Yes. Richard Washington.
Yes.
That's all who are eligible?
That's all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to move to public comment. I think what we're doing today, just to recap again, to recap public comments, then we're having a presentation. Okay. So we'll have public comments. When you're invited to speak, we do not have a lectern, but just please speak clearly and loudly as you can. So we have that recorded.
Yeah.
Just state your name if you can. You will have 3 minutes to speak. And we'll also have people who are remote given the opportunity.
Do you want that person to sit over here in the?
So they could be
with the
recorded.
camera?
Yeah, oh, that would be helpful if you're in the, yeah, well, it is centered, so.
Okay, great.
So do we want to start inside? Whoever, anybody want to speak? Mr. Phelps, sure. And Steve, are you able to time?
I am.
Okay.
Look, Jeffrey Feld, 11 Alexander Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. First, I would like to give a thank, it was on the agenda, that someone just had an emergency resignation. I'd like to thank her for her service and wish her and her family health, clearly the reasons to wish her the best recovery with whoever is suffering. Just an update on the Bear Properties litigation. Nothing has happened since the last meeting. However, there's certain things I think you might want to look into. There was a public notice published in the Star Ledger on November 7th regarding the expansion of one of the Newark bids. And you might want to look at that ordinance and compare the historical statements made in that compared to how this organization differs from that, considering that we had a dissolved SID that was brought back to life, and you might want to compare that ordinance. Also, there was an opinion issued today by the Appellate Division. It's a published opinion regarding the Borough of Caldwell, and the termination of its BA and the severance awarded to him, and they said it was illegal. The reason I say that, it was just Judge Fisher who wrote the opinion. He sat on our state Supreme Court for about 3 months. And he's about to retire, but it's about the statutory interpretation of how you look at some municipal statutes. And that's what the Bear Properties case is all about. In terms of that, the other thing I just discovered, and I'm trying to find out, is that we have an interim county attorney, which is fairly interesting, considering that he's a retired judge from the appellate division, Jerome St. John, and I only found that out by reading the notice, and I don't know what happened to the former county counsel, but there is an interim counsel brought in. I appreciate that you will be giving us an opportunity to make comments on the presentation. I would ask, a lot of times what we've been happening is, I raised that at the last meeting, I understand on certain action items, I can make comments, but I have an idea of what it's about. But some other things, the reports that we don't have an opportunity to comment, there's like a delay. And I think you might want to reconsider that certain reports go up prior to citizens' comments so we can get feedback on certain things. That's what I said last time. I thank you, because when I was walking out, there is a draft copy of the resolution regarding a discussion that you'll have later regarding the Citizens Committee on Affordable Housing. It was left on one of the things. I looked at it real quickly. I mean, this is really an issue I'll have with the town council, is whether it has to be done by ordinance rather than by resolution. That's one. And then I understand they want someone from the city to be on that committee, but there's also a question that we still don't know the validity of this organization. That's still a legal issue. It's been festering for almost 2 years now. No legal opinions have ever been delivered by anyone. Also, I like you to look at the best practices inventory from the state. And a couple of years ago, they asked for every town to have like a person that's designated, that's inside City Hall or Town Hall, who's like a director of economic planning and development. If you go back to my original comments when Mr. Grillo arrived in May 2021, I've always been advocating that he really belongs to as an employee of the town. And that's sort of what best practices have been saying, and it ties into our legal arguments. Again, thank you. I know I'm a little short because I have to get up to go to see my daughter. And I thank you again. I want to reiterate, the service that the person put in before, who's no longer, who resigned effective earlier this week, and to wish them and their family the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take that. Anybody else who's present in the room wish to speak? Come on up.
Come on.
Okay. Vicky Pat, 358C Millburn Avenue. Thank you very much for getting the mural fixed. It looks beautiful. It looks good as new. Well done.
I didn't know that was something that was of interest to you.
Just a little bit. It looks great. They really did a nice job. They matched the painting. It was really great. So well done. Now a little constructive criticism. The QR codes that you guys are using on events, holiday showcase, Halloween, I'm a little confused. The QR code is taking them directly to Explore Millburn Short Hills. Wouldn't it be logical if you're QR coding an event, wouldn't it take it to the event like Halloween, holiday showcase? Because if I'm spending the time to look at the QR code, I want to go directly to the event. I don't want to go directly to Explore Millburn, then look for the event tab, especially if you're doing it on a phone. I think it's very confusing. I think you need to button it down and change it. I just think it's counterproductive. Also, I'm noticing, I don't know if you guys are doing the website updates or if somebody else is. I know my personal website, I can go in, do the updates, 1, 2, 3, put new merchandise on everything. Your event tab, when I looked before the Halloween event, wasn't updated. The last update was 9/26, I think. Then you guys did the Halloween, which thank you very much for doing it. I think it was well received for the short amount of time it was advertised and put together. I think it was well received, but the QR, there was no mention of it on the website. So that could have been an easy fix. You could have gone in, come Halloween, trick-or-treating downtown. I think the event tab on the website is not being used the way it should be used. The holiday showcase is still up on the website. It still says register, even though the register link is not active. You need to be a little bit more diligent on getting it. The holiday showcase is done and over with. Shop Small should be up there already. So if you guys are not doing, or the website manager is doing it, it needs to be a little bit more organized with that. And then my last thing is, there's a lot of businesses that do not do social media, does not have the benefit to be reposted from the organization. what are you doing for them? I mean, I can think of four of my neighbors that don't do anything, that they just can't do it. Are we gonna do holiday gift guides? I'm just a little concerned, that's just my personality to be worried about everyone else, but there's, my little frame guy, Juan, doesn't do any social media. Does anybody know he's in town? Because he really does not get a lot of advertising, because I get the benefit of being reposted because I'm constantly doing social media. But there are the people that don't, like the grooming room, like Juan, like Harry at IQ, just to name a few. I just wanted, let's not forget about them. They're part of the SID also. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room before we go virtual? Okay. What do we have to do?
Hi, good evening, Perry Urso, 514. Hello, 514 Millburn Avenue in Short Hills. Well, I did have a prepared statement, but it looks like Mr. Feld, I do echo some of the things that he said. But because of being a disenfranchised property owner, we don't really have a say on this board. I was wondering, and he had mentioned about us being able to have the opportunity, that would this board consider changing the agenda order to allow members of the public the opportunity to comment after board member reports? Or will it remain that we have to wait the status quo, that we have to continue with public comments and concerns until the following meeting? Because on their agenda tonight, we do not have the opportunity to comment on board's discussion. And you have a potential on the board's discussion line items, you have a potential actions presented by Steve Grillo. The third item is a discussion regarding Citizens Advisory Affordable Housing Committee. Secondly, I see that there's Wonder Trucks concerns are on your agenda. This brings me to that on October 13th at the SID meeting, concerns were stated, and we were told by the executive director, if I heard it correctly, that they were simply a delivery service. And I believe it was stated that they would not conflict with any of the 5 SID districts. Can the executive director kindly clarify the SID position on this type of service provided? Because on Friday, October 29th, 2022, a Wonder Truck was parked on our private property, not delivering for our business, but rather providing services for themselves. An email was sent on November 2nd, 2022 to the BA, executive director and assistant BA with no response to my concerns to date. Is this type of treatment and misinformation condoned by this body and the township committee? Lastly, this year comes to closing. I would ask the board to comment on the annual events of this entity, and should it be acceptable that one district in particular is largely favored over the other 4? Is it factual that this entity is soliciting businesses not within the SID assessment role? And why is this entity focused on 2 districts out of the 5, and 1 out of the 5 districts are majority the beneficiaries? And lastly, when will the public receive a legal opinion on the validity of this entity? Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Just the time you want to have a presentation.
I think, is there one more person?
We should not raise it.
Oh, that's out.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're not raising
Okay.
it.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry.
No, I removed her ability to speak.
No, I think,
Did I remove her?
you removed her from the meeting and said,
All right, she can rejoin.
What did you want to do?
I thought it was just ability to.
no.
Just because everything is half an hour late, we want to just have a special presentation now,
Sure.
so the public doesn't have to wait,
Good idea.
and you'll see the presentation in the drive. We will be having public comments after your presentation, because I think some folks may have specific questions.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
What am I? Hold on,
Whatever you
Steve,
want.
what am I
We're,
showing?
we're in a different spot wherever you're more comfortable. No. We'll just adjust the camera.
Yes, they're good.
I would say usually we do this.
Do you just want the intro deck?
Yeah,
you
just
send me-
the intro deck.
Okay,
That's,
perfect.
yeah, that's great. Well,
And we're on Zoom?
we condensed it. You have the longer form versions that they can reference that. But Yeah.
And so just for clarity, no action is intended to be taken tonight. This is an informative meeting from the team from Beyond Maine. So no formal action will happen this evening.
Hang on one second. Let's just confirm we're all up and running here.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Are you okay being recorded? Are we recorded?
Vicky has a question in the record.
Okay, if you could just introduce yourselves and then so we have it on the record, we'll go from there. Please.
You have to spell it.
No. That's good. I'm
No,
Kate
not-
Giovanni Batista, the
I can
founder
spell
of
that.
Beyond Maine. Oh, really? Okay.
His name's Paul
G.
Vicky.
Everybody get ready. Okay. GIOVAMBATTISTA, founder of Beyond Maine Summit resident.
Jeremy Renna, Highland Park resident, Chief Revenue Officer Beyond.
Yep, spell it.
No,
Yeah,
I
you're okay.
don't have 14 letters in my last
Okay.
name.
Yeah, so we are Beyond Maine. Beyond Maine is a shop local online marketplace. And our mission is really to create a vibrant online destination that allows small businesses and our downtowns to be accessible anytime, anywhere, through any connected device. You can kind of keep going forward a little bit there. And just to kind of quantify the retail economy right now. So about 3.5 trillion in big business revenue, 25% of that is currently done online. Now they've had about 2 decades to kind of capture that 25%. But right now, when we look at small businesses, of the 2.5 trillion, they're contributing to the overall economy and retail base. We're only seeing about 1.4% penetration. So we really feel like small businesses have an immense opportunity to expand their digital presence alongside really what feels most comfortable to them, and that's being alongside their neighboring businesses, being a part of an online community that can really support them in the same way their physical community can as well. So our front end, scrolling down just slightly.
As you scroll, just think of it, big businesses, the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Macy's of the world. I was at Macy's for 20 years. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars in CapEx to build out what we shop on, right? All those applications. Small business never got an opportunity to get together and do that in a real way. And so what we're trying to offer, what Kate will walk you through, is easy, because every business owner everywhere needs to be able to do this, and inexpensive because we understand the P&L constraints of small business. Those are kind of the 2 key hallmarks of what we're trying to.
So our front end, beyondmaine.com, is a shared marketplace that allows for the same marketplace type of experience we enjoy on other third-party sites. So when you visit Beyond Maine as a shopper, you can browse stores locally. So it's geolocation kind of focused, but you can also search a destination that you're interested in, learning more about or discovering. You can browse by items, which means you can kind of find those specific things you're really looking for and zone in on the businesses that have those things. And you can also go all the way through the commerce journey and check out and buy. We are aggregated cart, which means there's multiple businesses that can be a part of one customer journey shopping. And our software does the work to get the funds to the business within 24 to 48 hours of where that transaction occurred from their inventory listing. We are commission free, so we don't take a percentage of the small business sale. Instead, we're a cooperative subscription-based model. So businesses that are joining our platform pay an annual membership to operate e-commerce.
That is the huge differentiator. The Etsy's of the world, the Amazons of the world, everybody else takes a percent of sales. So when you look at a regular garment, this jacket, right, has a 40% to 50% margin on it. So $100 item walking out the door for the small business, just on the garment itself, nets $50, right? You're taking now 15 points off the top sale to go out to an Amazon. Now you've got $35 left. You haven't paid for the lights. You haven't paid for the people. You haven't paid for marketing. You haven't paid for anything yet, much less food on your table, right? And so by saying, hey, $600 a year, that's it. Now you have quantified costs. Great, I need to grow my business by about $1,000 to $1,200 annually, and we can do it. And Kate will walk you through it agnostically. You don't have to shop on our site. It's a marketing site and a shopping site.
And the back end, great segue, the back end as an operational tool is very simple, very easy for really any business at any stage to really adopt. It's no code, which is just kind of a fancy word of saying they don't need to hire a programmer, they don't need to hire a developer or a web designer. They just need to know how to input text and upload pictures to kind of give their back end the cues that power the front end display of making their goods and services available for purchase. Alongside the operational tools for selling, we also give them insights and analytics that really help them empower their business. They learn about not just their sales data and their key KPIs that they really want to track, but also the behavioral side. So how many digital visitors are they getting through their door every day? Where is that traffic coming from? Is it coming from desktop or mobile? Did it originate from a search or from an email? They're going to start to learn all of these things about how customers are engaging with them online.
These are the stats that I would have on my desk Monday morning all the time. Small businesses don't have that, right? To give them even, the basic tools of this gives them a leg up.
What restrictions do you have then on use of the data? My store's customer who wants to buy something on the website, now you have visibility into that person's account information, let's say.
Yeah, their information is their information. We don't share any store data. They can give alternate people as manager associations to their account.
I think
No, I mean you as a platform.
us as a platform.
Like say I'm a customer, I have to open up an account or something in order to start shopping on this website.
No, you can check out as a guest. The only thing we have is a record of your purchase. So if there's
But you have my name, you know what I bought,
Correct.
credit card information maybe.
Not unlike any other
So that's my
Yeah,
question.
correct.
So
And we
what
work
restrictions, what are your terms that
we
say?
work through Stripe. So you want to talk about this from on a back end to
No,
Stripe
the
is more
terms
the
and
credit card
conditions of your platform,
Yes.
what do they say about use of personal information of your user?
Yeah, our terms and conditions are very similar to any marketplace you'd see, Etsy, Amazon. I mean, it's the same.
What do they say?
They're posted publicly on our website, so when you do go and visit, you'll see that the terms and agreements are always there for you to dive into. But kind of in a summary situation, it just means that we're not using your personal data other than to help you conduct the activity you're trying to conduct on our site, which is buying from a small business. And that's
Are
pretty
you
much the
asking your
extent of it.
question as a business owner or as a
I
person
think he's like a
shopping on the
shopper.
site?
Yeah, I
I'm
think it's
I'm a business
Sure.
owner, but I want to protect my customers'
You're saying,
personal
is it
information.
being sold to
Yeah,
another?
that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to, because we're driving my customer to a third-party website to sell my products, and I'm just trying to understand.
How that
What-
information will be used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether you're aggregating that data, using it in other ways, or.
No, so so when you as a shopper shop with a business owner, yes, your information is made available to the business owner for them to fulfill your order request.
Sure.
You are then in their customer relationship management side of their Beyond Main account. It's theirs. We don't share those customers with other business owners, or the only communication we would have is if they've created an account on Beyond Main. So if that shopper took the extra steps of signing up to become a Beyond Main customer, meaning they wanted to hear from us, they wanted to engage
As a
with their
marketplace.
as a
Opt in.
marketplace. They sign up, they actively take the steps to sign up and approve to receive communications from us. Otherwise, the only communications they receive are from the business regarding their order. And then it's up to the business whether or not they encourage them to sign up onto their own mailing list or something.
And what type of notifications? Those are push notifications, right? Are they geolocated? How are you deciding what communications those people that opt in actually get?
It's, I mean,
Is
It's
it
not
catered to them,
super
or is it-
it's not necessarily that specific. It's more about like our holiday, right? So right now we're going into Q4, so we're putting together a best of people and places, and so we will send out to our shoppers a holiday gift guide that's focused on the people and places that we work with. So we're highlighting the small business, And we're sharing that with customers that are on Beyond Main that have said they'd like to hear about what's happening locally. But it's more of general communications. We can get very targeted by town if there's something specific that's requested or asked of us. But for the most part, we partner with, your downtown organization to try to help collaborate on communications, not necessarily push or force.
One more,
things out.
I don't want to interrupt you, but if you're creating a best of business in
Mhm.
Millburn, let's say, are you including all the businesses who have signed up to be on your platform? That's part of the list, or is there other criteria where you're not including all the businesses that happen to be on? Yeah.
If they're a subscribing store and they're listing and selling goods and a part of our platform, they'll be featured. If there's a business that's not a part of the
There's no
platform.
additional
they're-
fee.
So do stores have
There's no additional fee to answer your question.
Okay.
It's a six, like we said before. it's
Yeah,
a six.
there's no additional.
So there's no extra buy-in. So everybody has an equal opportunity to be showcased on your market.
Correct. And
Yeah.
even at the front of the site, when you log onto the site, there's a carousel of things that changes all the time in a random way that covers all those.
Now, I just want to have a couple more questions. So in the marketplace, if I was part of the marketplace and I was a baker or something that if I was competing with one of the other marketplace participants, is there any way, is any of the sales information shared about my business with Steve or Steve
No.
with me?
No.
So that's
Every-
all segregated to each
Yes,
business.
every business, they create an account, it's their own private account. They don't have access to, it's just
So
their
there's
business.
no comparative numbers.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
And another thing, this time you called my interest before, so for $600 and some odd dollars,
$600.
$600, okay,
Right.
everybody participates. But walk me through, if I sell, I'm a jeweler, let's say if I sell a ring through you, and the ring is $100. Tell me, do you charge for the credit card processing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so credit card processing is taken out. Stripe is our credit card
Or
processing.
what do they charge for?
3%, 2.9% with it's pretty standard, 30% or 30 cents for daily transfers for back.
So it's pretty much 3%.
Pretty much 3%, yeah.
Not dissimilar if someone came into your shop and bought it with a credit.
You mentioned one user could shop, buy a ring and buy a cupcake. Do they then get shipped all separately from the various vendors? So like, yes, there's one shopping cart, then there could be 4 different.
Same way that
packages
you
going
might
on.
buy from Target, and Target's done an outstanding job of really maximizing their inventory. So you might get a box, you might have it on the same order. You maybe get a couple boxes, one from the Target, down the street, and one, they didn't have that item, and so they sent it from,
Right,
down by me.
right.
So we have alternate fulfillment methods. So our primary ones are buy online, pick up in store, curbside, automation, the business is set up, as well as local delivery they can set up for themselves. So shipping is kind of still a minor piece of all of our sales. Most of them are focused on buy online, pick up in store.
And,
Curbside.
and one last thing, and for getting back to credit cards,
Doesn't have to be honest.
you shouldn't say that to me. I've been here all night.
We might even get through the presentation.
So for,
Yeah, why don't we
so-
finish? Yeah.
so I just have one other question. I just have one more
I'm
question.
in the P&L with it.
Okay, all right, great. So who advocates for the merchant in a chargeback situation?
We do.
Yeah,
We do,
we-
yeah. So in
Has that been a problem?
No, we've only had one in our total history of, the Stripe is actually very well known for just getting ahead of fraudulent card activity. So they have a great defense system even in the beginning. And we've actually only had one where we've had to dispute, and we actually won. So we won on behalf
See,
of
they
them.
would have to, because Stripe doesn't really know you, they only
Correct.
know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
asked, that's why I asked.
Can I just one basic
Sure.
question before we continue? Is this marketplace specific to our town? Would it be a Millburn Beyond Main marketplace?
We're gonna get to that. It's a
Okay,
perfect
so
segment.
all right,
It's a
go
perfect
for it.
segue. It's almost
going,
like you read the rest of the.
Yeah.
You have the floor.
No,
We should let you finish.
So
and then
that
ask
quick,
the rest.
that quick little gifting made easy. So one other thing that really is another benefit of being a part of the marketplace is this gift carding opportunity. And so when you have a community market that's formed, and a community market is around 25 businesses or more that are within a specific geolocation on our site, you have your own Millburn market. right? Millburn Short Hills Market, where it's its own URL on our site. It aggregates all of your businesses together into one kind of densely focused thing that you can promote in other places. There's also a gift card that wraps around your entire market, and it's closed to only businesses that you approve to be a part of your market. So you could promote Shop Millburn Short Hills to your community. It's one gift card that's purchased digitally, but it can be used online and in store as long as that business is a part of the marketplace as a participating member. So the QR code just kind of shows, how those gift cards are given digitally, and then how you would use them in a physical store. So that's kind of an overarching umbrella promo.
So one of the reasons that I wanted this team to come in is that a year plus ago when Nadej brought up this concept, we had been struggling to find a vendor that had controls over geography, right? That, you had to be within the SID, that, you could purchase it online and use it more flexibly. Everyone that we had spoken to, there was always some sort of challenge with the logistical rollout. I think this package probably answers that question the best. Obviously, there's other issues that we talk about, but I think from an operations perspective and a control perspective, this is probably the best system to serve.
But I guess the question I have is, the gift card is only good at the participating stores. So even though there may be 50 stores within some small geographic area, and 25 of which are participating, the consumer wouldn't know. They walk into a store and they say, I don't know what this is. And it kind of, is that right? So it's only good at the stores that are participating. I mean, I would think that would have to be. the
A
case.
store would have to have a connected gateway with us, which means they're
Have to
in
way to get the
commerce.
money.
We have to have a way to give them their money.
Yeah.
So yes, like that, there would be potentially stores that wouldn't be a part of your gift card program, but hopefully we'd have many that are, and the consumer would easily be able to identify by going to the market site which businesses does accept this gift card.
But I think that's also a good bridge to something that you brought up, right? Is that of the 500 businesses we have in the city, and let's call 300 or so retailers, some of them don't have a digital footprint, right? They don't have social media. If they don't have social media, they definitely don't have online sales platform. This could be the way that somebody brings a new platform to their business, right? You spend the $600, you sign up, you get the cross promotion, and now you have another way of selling to customers instead of walking in. So it's just, Amanda and I have been hosting training sessions and all this about, modernizing businesses. The point of sale is critical. And if you're a store that doesn't have an online footprint, you're behind the 8 ball. And so this might be a good investment for a business that doesn't have a platform today to say $600 gets me an online platform and I'm now part of a larger marketing effort, which is a gift card.
Yeah, so if somebody does a Google search for a little, I don't know, IQ down the street, I don't know if he has one or not, but does a Google search for the name of a store? Is it tied? Would it pull up your website
It
or?
sometimes does. It really just depends on who's bidding on those keywords, to be honest. Like then you get into
Well, because
a lot of
that's why I'm trying to see if it really helps them or not, because they may not come up if it's a third-party website.
That's certainly possible, but I think, let's say someone gives you a Millburn gift card and you see the businesses listed. You may not have known that IQ is in town, but now they're getting that level of advertising first off, that they're in the platform. And then you have a
Leveraging,
physical
right.
mechanism, the gift card, making the purchase.
And
That's
you
something
get,
they're not doing.
you
Right.
guys then get an opportunity to take Beyond Main / Millburn - Short Hills. It's called, make it as complicated as we possibly can, right? You then can take that, you can splash well-directed QR codes around town. You can market off of that, drives those customers that you want shopping here. They go on the site and they see whatever businesses have jumped on. So really, it's kind of three-pronged. There's a marketing platform. Hey, if you want to drive people to Beyond Main / Millburn - Short Hills, New Jersey, great. That's number one. It has its own currency. Yes, you can use credit card as well, right? We accept cash and all the rest, but it has its own currency in this gift card,
Oh, yeah.
right? That gift card becomes the currency of your town. And then, oh, by the way, to the guys who don't have e-commerce, it also gives the opportunity to have an e-commerce platform.
And you'll learn from it as you're using it. You have a market manager account that allows you to have insights and analytics and aggregated data to understand how is it being used, how often are people redeeming, what's the average data. You'll kind of get some great information on what's actually going on with this gift card in our community.
Do
That
you have
could-
some examples coming? Or do you have no idea? Or
not in this one.
Okay.
There's in
Like, I
Like,
guess,
we-
what are some
we-
towns you work with? Or can you
we-
give us like a tangible example of like?
She
a
gets, you get to
town
give her the 4 in New Jersey. I get the other.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so
Okay.
right now we work with Montclair, which is probably our largest market, Summit, Westfield, Metuchen is a smaller community, and then we have some businesses that are not really a part of the downtown, but they're just kind of sprinkled throughout the state.
And then I get to drop the big one is we took the show on the road to Richmond, Virginia, to Main Street the Main Street Conference. And we signed the state of South Carolina. So we're actually building a white label site for them. We shopsc.com. And we have access to all 272 towns and almost 300,000 businesses, small businesses that they have. And we've become that heavy lift of getting them while the CTO and team are building the site to go live somewhere in May next year. We're, feverishly working with their team. I'm on the phone with Florence, South Carolina, and we're getting notes from Dylan and all the rest.
And the New Jersey one's been running for a while.
Yeah, they've been running for a few
About
years.
a year and a half, 2 years.
And do you work through mostly the bids? Like, are you working with towns directly?
It really just depends on the community, but yes, that's become kind of a part of the program that we find is most successful when there's good collaboration with the overarching.
Unintended.
With that?
I said buy-in, no pun intended.
Yeah, yeah.
And on your platform, it's always, is it always $600 per person?
Yeah, there are, yes, I would say the easy answer is yes, it's $600 per participant and you get e-commerce, you get the gift card, and you get all the reporting, everything. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. Do you want to finish your presentation?
Sure, why not?
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
why
it's a
don't you
good
finish?
question.
Well, there's a couple questions.
Always.
It's a
So-
good
Go
question.
So,
And
We're going on.
we'll go for it.
so for Montclair, for example, or Summit or Westfield, any of them. Oh, well, we're just talking to my colleague here. The service business, the nail salon, the hair, are they, I mean, and why, I guess I'm not seeing the value because, it's
Make an
not
appointment.
making a, so is that part of the service where you can have?
Scheduling is coming next year. We're working on some enhancements to the site, so you will be able to schedule appointments. If they don't already have an outside scheduling link they can attach to their profile. So the scheduling will be coming 2023. Where we try to encourage service-based businesses is what can they monetize? So we actually will do consultation sessions with them to help them understand, like, can you put a package together? Like, we have a lot of fitness studios that join and will create, packages of classes. So they'll buy the package, but then they'll schedule through the business afterwards right
Right.
now. Yeah, so
It really allows it to become not only a monetization tool, but also that marketing tool. When you think of where scheduling is going, think of realtors, right? And I apologize, I don't know all the great realtors in town, but I'm sure they spend far more than $600 a year on advertising, right? And so no one's taking the gift card and buying a $750,000 or $1.1 million house, right? But you're going to be able to make an appointment with the realtor, right? You're searching. It really walk down Main Street and see every business. And this is what we do all the time. We go, how does that fit into life? How do we get that? What are the things we need to do to make it relevant? Because we want to represent everything.
And do you do a tutorial for the business? Do you come in to each and every client that signs up on the platform? Do I come into Vicky's to shop and walk through and say, okay, I'm gonna put these pieces, say she not technically challenge our framer, for example, that we were talking about earlier. You go in and say, we're gonna help you get this digitally online and teach them how to use the tool.
For $600 a year, it's not always possible for us to
Right.
do that level of assistance. What we have found has been successful is working with executive directors to do group training
Workshops.
stations and workshops.
Yeah.
And
And
we are
conferences.
available for phone assistance and technical assistance and ongoing needs that they have. But physically being able to deploy a team to every single business is not a part of our capabilities.
Okay, and then my last question is the $100 gift card.
Mhm.
I buy it through
Mhm.
online. Who pays the processing?
So it just, the retailer, so the retailer, it will go through as a credit card processing fee, right? In an aggregated cart. So the credit card fees are charged if there's a fee above the level of the gift card. So the funds have already been paid and distributed to Beyond Main. They're held in our Stripe account. And then when those want to get redeemed, the funds are transferred. If there's additional fees on top of that, they're charged at the time for the retailer too.
And is there a time limit on that gift card? Is it-
No, there's no time limit. And
There's no expiration.
there's no expiration. However, there are state laws that I do believe. I forget
Restrict,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, there's at a certain point, if it has not been used, there are things you must report to the state that would be for us to have to do. But we haven't reached that point with any of our gift cards because it hasn't been operating that long yet.
But dissimilar from maybe a Visa gift card that you might buy in supermarket. There's no set, they'll charge 6.5%, 7% on top for a gift card. Not the case. This is, you pay for what you get what you get.
And the
Yes, better.
consumer always understands so when they activate the gift card, they have an account, right? And then they always know how much is on that
Mhm.
card. So they always know their balance. So it's like their virtual wallet on Beyond Main. So it's always sitting there until they deplete it.
So in the towns where you've had programs running for a while, are most of the sales people, are most of the sales through gift cards, or are most of the sales people coming on the site and browsing the stores and making purchases?
It really, that's such a hard, it really depends on the time of year.
Okay,
We do see very heavy gift carding, but the gift carding, when used appropriately, can also drive a lot of store sales as well. So, for instance, in Westfield, in the month of December, they ran one gift card promotion where they gave out these Westfield gift cards for $20 denominations. And they put a timeline on it and a deadline date of when they had to be used. And there was around $1,500 of them that were actually activated and used, but it resulted in about $10,000 in sales for the participating businesses. So when used really strategically, I think it can actually
Drive.
drive,
revenue.
yes.
And that's the goal also, because we're commission based. When you set up your site, you link, if you have your own website, link it in. God bless. I want people to come to your store. I want people to go to your website. I'm not getting a percent if you pay, if they buy off of our site. So it's a marketing platform, that has e-commerce. Drive people downtown.
So you can connect, so if you have your own website, you can just connect it
Can
to
be
a
a link.
virtual marketplace.
Correct.
Yeah,
you use the gift card there? No.
No, so the
No.
gift cards do have to
Okay.
run through Beyond Main. However, they can also use them starting next year in the physical stores as well. So that's kind of an alternate
But if they
option.
if the consumer goes in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And we go to Tracy and we're looking at different things in her marketplace. Can we transition to her website and say, I'm gonna go in the store and.
Correct. You separate checkout because you're checking out
Yeah,
on,
you're checking out.
on
but-
wherever
but you
else.
could Easily
Right, if you
transition.
want to see more, you can click.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so every business when they join has the contact page, and that contact page has their store hours, all of their contact social media handles, and then any other sites or any other online access points that a consumer could find them. So they can, they could link an Amazon store, they could link an Etsy store, they can link a
You wanna
not
pay-
shop,
you wanna
like
pay
whatever,
$50? God
wherever
bless.
that business might be,
Sure.
they have the opportunity to kind of showcase where they can be found, and then the consumer chooses their own journey. We're just trying to kind of pull options into one centralized.
Well,
home.
when you think of those small sites, You've gone ahead, you've done the work to create your own site. Takes a lot of heavy lifting to get people to go to this one site. Like, that's the beauty of these marketplace sites. When we get a chance to aggregate lots of folks, the people want to see your stuff, and your stuff, and your stuff, they all come together.
And then the other question is, so if I buy a gift card, I'm beyond Maine, Millburn, Short Hills. I can't use it in Montclair or Summit,
You
right?
cannot,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
I think that's a critical piece of this, right? Because
Yeah.
it's about capturing money,
Right,
right?
keeping
That's
it
what all
local,
of this is
right,
about, right?
keeping it
Stay
local,
local.
stay local.
You have X amount of
Mayor's
money that you can spend. A portion of that is gonna go to online sales, and a portion of that is gonna go to sales that are not Amazon, et cetera. So it's a question of how do you capture as much money, either a digital sale in a retailer or an in-person sale. But if we know that that money is spoken for because it's in a gift card, right? And someone says, this is my gift to you, $500 to spend in Millburn this holiday season, that $500 can't go anywhere else. It has to be dedicated to it.
you know.
And that eliminates the competition that we have even with our own mall. Right? And so I think it's an interesting way of sort of guaranteeing a spend for our stakeholders.
Or only those stakeholders that want to buy in.
Correct, but it's
I
no
mean,
different
it's
than
a-
any other buy-in, right? If you choose never to advertise, you're probably not gonna do very well in business, right? And so this is just another way that a business can choose to spend its capital to
Yeah.
promote itself or make itself more accessible.
How many, is there a certain number of businesses that have to buy in order for this to be
So,
profitable to you?
Like,
yeah,
maybe
so,
scroll a
so
little- we
for
talked about
us,
on
when we talk about coming to a community like this, we say the baseline is $15,000 and with that $15,000, you get 25 businesses. So keep scroll, keep going, keep going, keep going. Programs right here.
Probably hard to read, but.
Hard, it's total eye chart. You see town square in
Make
there.
it a little bigger.
50, you can make it a little bigger.
Yeah.
Town square, right? So when you come in, we say, we want to do a placard that says Millburn Short Hills. We want to do the gift card. We want to do all those sort of things. We're going to say to you guys, for $15,000, and you can do the math, right? For $15,000 on an annual basis, here are 25 store credits. You guys can, if you're funding it, great, you guys can hand out those 25. If you want people to pay for them, that's great. If people want to go beyond the 25, great.
And the 600 that business pays is not included in that 15,000.
No, you,
No,
it-
Up to 25, so.
Yeah,
So
you
that's-
have
we
but
need a
that's not
guarantee.
grant.
We need a guarantee of 25.
That's
So
the
your
600
question
times
on-
25.
Correct.
25 businesses have to,
Or the municipality says, hey, I want this, we're gonna fund 15,000 and we're gonna give it out to folks.
So there's no upfront costs to initiate the program other than the minimum buy-in is 15K.
Well, what's the assessment you have up here? Is that something?
So that's something,
We wanna do
it's like a
consulting.
pre-step if you needed a consulting kind of
If
package,
needed,
if
not
needed,
You
yeah.
have Steve,
Yeah, you have.
you have Steve.
So for
Yeah.
communities,
Okay.
sometimes
I didn't know if
they,
that was something.
Correct, no, this is,
we can come in and kind of create like a template of understanding your small business community and kind of where all the levels are, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and kind of group them and help you craft a strategy around how you implement a marketplace program. So that's kind of like the first step. If you're beyond that, you kind of understand your community and you know that there's an appetite out there, and the next package is the town square, which gives you 25 seats
Sure.
to offer or subsidize, like you kind of have liberty to push that how you will, but that's our market community program, entry market community program. And then the next level down is what we're doing for South Carolina.
South
So that's our white label. That's like beyond Maine, but branded for your,
Correct.
in their case, their state.
Yeah.
So,
that's a big deal. I would say town square is the right place for you guys to start.
right, so if you have more than 25 businesses that are interested, what does it
They're
cost?
So
$600
they're
each.
$600.
We just need a minimum of 25
Okay.
in order to say, hey, we have some critical mass here. This
Yeah.
makes sense. You end up, we had a conversation with Boone, Vermont, right? I got 3 businesses for them. That's very nice. Very nice for Boone, Vermont. I can't spend a lot of bandwidth
yeah.
for $1,800 a year. Right?
Right.
So for a town like Montclair or Summit, who who joined with you, can you give us an idea of how much buy-in? that
How many
one of the-
participants?
Yeah, now that you've established yourself, do they have 50, 100?
Montclair is around, I think, 40, 45,
Okay.
participating. There's new ones that kind of come into the fold all the time too, but I think we're at
And how
about
lo-
45
Over
active,
what period of time about?
about a year and a half.
Ooh.
This will be, I think, our
What's
second
an
holiday.
acceptable participation percentage?
That's a really good question.
You
It's
mean
really hard to answer.
percentage of the town,
your
so if
entire
you have
town?
500 businesses, what the right percentage is?
Yeah, it was we have about 325 or so that are true retailers. So if we got 60, right, that's
So you'd
about
be
20%.
You've been good.
So, I mean, and when I look at just the overall statistics about who's online and who's not, 74% of small businesses still have no e-commerce presence. So it's still a large.
What was the number in our report? Do you remember?
It was close. I think it was close to 60.
Okay, so I would say it really just depends on, right now the strategy we're implementing is trying to get those that have kind of taken some level of digital adoption to get represented on the marketplace. That can help really get you to your critical mass quickly, right? That 25 quickly. And then from there, their neighbors kind of see them on, and we can work our way down to the ones that need a little bit more assistance. And maybe this is their first foray into.
You want to talk a little, that's a great segue into the Shopify piece, and I want
Oh,
to be
yeah.
mindful of time.
Right.
Again, making it easier for the, you want to keep going? It's down in there.
So these are some of our resources. We have both seller resources as well as marketing resources. And then I think that's the other presentation. But what Jeremy was mentioning is we're very focused as well on trying to stitch together systems that a lot of small business owners are already using. So we have a Shopify plugin running today, and we're working on our next set of integrations where what that means, if a business is running their online store on Shopify, they just connect their store and their inventory is represented and it's synchronous. So it just kind of stays up to date, and regardless of where it sells, their inventory counts remain whole, right? So if it sells on Beyond Main, it updates their inventory on Shopify, and if it sells on Shopify store, it updates us. And so nothing gets out of whack. That's one of the major headaches that small businesses.
Is there a cost for that?
No, that's built into the 600. So that's our full.
I know that.
Yeah, there's no additional cost. There's no additional cost for that. We're just trying to make it easier for those that are online, give them another place for their business to be found and customers to engage with their product.
Where we're able to be successful, it's almost like the supermarket model. We have to get volume. We have to get a lot of businesses on. That's why, quite transparently, the South Carolina play is big for us. If we can get 10,000 businesses on at $600, now we're starting to,
How long have you been in business?
Well, I've been working on this since 2015, but technically in market, summer of 2019.
Can you slide back up to the people slide? Because I don't think Kate, as a women's founder, has not gotten the opportunity to, let's say, show off. But
Show off.
show off.
But but it probably helps to understand my background a little bit. I worked for consumer products brands, Wrigley as well as Vera Bradley, for about 15 years prior to kind of starting Beyond Main. And specifically for 10 years, worked with small independent brick and mortar mom and pops across the country. And I was their brand liaison between Vera Bradley and their store. So everything from ordering, marketing, communications, anything that our brand touched kind of for their business, we were a part of. And around the 2012 mark, I started to really see like the major concerns forming around not the mall down the street anymore. It was the online as my main competition. And as a consultant, like I just didn't have great tools I could recommend to them that what I felt like was going to kind of combat the problem, and that was the marketplace experiences, right? This easy access point for me as a consumer to go online and find anything I want, from toilet paper to designer jeans, right? And small businesses, I just kind of saw them get like wedged out of this consumer journey. And so my co-founder Kelly and I were both at Vera Bradley at the time, and we said, okay, like how, if we had to throw everything out that we know, what would need to be created for this community to thrive? And so that's really the underlying question that began when we started. Beyond Main. And so the product that we have today is kind of the early questions that we asked ourselves back in 2012. Dan, we met our CTO. He's actually a New Jersey native, but now lives in Texas. A Stevens Institute grad from North Jersey, and we hooked up with him in like 2017. And at the time, he had left Colgate Olive and was beginning to do software development for small and medium-sized businesses. And he just really kind of understood and gravitated to what we were building, and we all got to work. Built an MVP product that we tested in Summit in 2019 with just 12 retailers, and they saw about 20,000 in sales with like no marketing efforts behind it, and we kind of felt like we were onto something. And then the pandemic happened. So it was great in a lot of ways, but it was also very challenging in others. There was this huge need for online access, and we knew that we had a tool, but we didn't have recognition. We didn't have really brand presence. And so we started to see stores popping up online, but nothing that was very successful for small business owners. And so at that point, we got connected with Montclair, and their market started to form, and then Westfield, and then Steve and I connected, what was it, last year? Yeah, last year. Yeah, the league. Yeah, this time. So it's just kind of slowly evolved, and now we've been working at the state level through our connections at Main Street organization, and so yeah, it's grown.
How do you handle reviews? Now, for small businesses, Google reviews, all kinds of
Yeah.
reviews are critical. And I deal with this in my business, you know, having a 5-star review, a 3-star,
Yeah.
bad review. So tell me how your marketplace deals with reviews, both good and bad.
I don't know if you're gonna love this answer, but we actually just don't do them. We don't have a review system, and it's kind of precisely for the challenges you pointed out. I know how deeply hurtful a bad review can be for a small business.
Yeah.
And so we don't have a review system that we're currently allowing
They still
customers to.
take that, they could still take their experience and go to Google or whatever.
Exactly. So they could, your customer could very well still go online and post their excitement or frustration and on other platforms, but not on ours. We are rolling out a new contact area upgrades and enhancements. And so within that, there will be a place that if a business would like to, they can select the reviews that they'd like to have displayed, but they would be static. So like the business would have to change them periodically if they want them refreshed, but the business would be in control of what's being vocalized about their store.
Well, it does work both ways.
It does work both ways, yeah. So it's not something I feel like we have a great solution for.
Right.
So until we have a great solution, we're just not going to have a review system. yet.
What happens if that Beyond Main gift card gets lost?
You mean in like their email, like they can't find it?
So it's a digital gift
It's
card.
a digital gift card, yeah. So there'll always be a digital record on our end. So if they lose the email, or they would just contact us and we'll research their name and email of where it came from, and we can give them their code that they can activate or help them get access if they've already activated it.
Yeah, in Summit's experience, which entity paid for the actual subscription? Like who paid the bill?
Yeah, so it's been kind of a different arrangement everywhere we've gone. Summit gave a $300 credit to
And they
businesses,
match
and
the
they
grant,
matched,
right?
yeah. The Montclair received a grant, so they covered all of their businesses to participate for a 2-year period.
A grant from,
I don't know.
Municipality or the-
I'm not sure where the grant. I can find out for you. So I
Okay.
don't know exactly who the grant was awarded from. But I also know that there's some legislation being presented at the state here that is interesting because it's specifically focused on helping small businesses increase online presence. I don't know if there might be more like funding through that eventually, but I do know there's a bill that was presented 2 weeks ago, maybe at the state level. So there could be some funding opportunities that you could look into as well.
So just to refresh for you guys with our 2023 budget, we do have $10,000 allocated to business assistance programs. So this is something where if we wanted to put 5,000 towards it and create some type of matching program, we do have the resources to do that, obviously, assuming the budget gets passed over the next month and a half. But This is precisely the type of thing we use for seed money, and then in year two, the businesses, if they feel like they've had success, would then invest in it on their own.
So you're an LLC, what are you?
Yeah, we're
Chapter-
now-
You're an LLC, and you've been in operational since
19, yeah,
2019.
yeah. We've received about $100,000 in grant funding this year, so
Okay.
we're gonna be making some additional significant updates to this technology, but we're totally bootstrapped. We haven't raised outside funding.
I was just saying, that was my next question.
Kate won the Probably challenge at in Hoboken in October.
Mhm.
And in this past summer, the Audible folks gave us a grant to go and do some work in Newark on this topic. So we just, and
Amazon supporting local businesses, it's very, very gratifying.
We promised the public,
Yeah.
comments.
Yes.
Yes, no, well,
I just.
I can't wait till the,
Sorry.
I can't wait till the Q&A section when
I
you guys start to
couldn't
really.
resist.
Okay, let's go on then.
Yeah.
It's 8 o'clock. That was my cutoff time.
Okay, no
Well, we have
problem.
the godmother of the Millburn gift card idea.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
May I?
Nadesh can
Yes.
sit.
Where do you want us?
Actually, yes.
You want to just sit?
yeah, yeah,
Have your-
yeah. Hold on.
Does anybody own?
So I just wanted to correct you, Stephen, sorry. We had found a gift card that was doing all this. Some of us would just not have to do the data mining that was behind it. That's why we kind of like shelved it. I have one question more for you, and don't even answer now, but theoretically, it also means that businesses that are not in the city, I don't know, home operated or outside of the city could potentially join the platform? Question mark. Don't need an answer. I'm just saying that's one thing. I love the gift card. I think this is exactly why we were in that program 2 years ago. I'm used to be a store owner. I'm not a store owner anymore. It's very recently, but I wanted to say that I got the opportunity when I owned a store to participate in a marketplace exactly like this, done by 2 ladies in Maplewood. There was like tons of stores in Maplewood, and they had asked me to have any bookstores on it. And it was exactly what you described. You could buy a book, some toilet paper, and what have you, and have one checkout. The issue with it was, for example, me and any other stores it was one more website to update and put my products on. And as small business owners, it's always a nightmare with one, doing it on another one was a nightmare. That's why I stopped. If you can work at having as many plugins as possible so people don't have to do that, I think that's really the key.
And that's our, and that's our.
Because just the linking the website, then it kind of negates the experience of buying your toilet paper with your book and everything. So I think the plugin is like the key for this to be attractive.
That's why the Shopify piece is so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
key and square.
But like I wasn't on Shopify, so that would not have me. If you can find as many plugins as possible to do this, I think that would be like the key. Because if you don't have a website, or if you don't want to maintain an extra website, which if I was in business, I would not want to do, I personally would not participate $600 to just start program. So I think this part of the business, the being able to transact on the website, is like really important to be like, it's a great selling argument. So that's what stuck in my mind when I was doing the guide. We didn't mention this, but it is in the presentation. There is a level of, so I recognize that I do on the plugin. We know that that's a great opportunity to make the backend operations very easy for business owners, but we, in sort of a temporary solution, we do have just a gift card member subscription program, and that's $350 a year. So if a business does not
That
want
we're right now only doing in South Carolina, so for clear. Not yet in New Jersey.
next year it will be rolling out. So there will be a level of, for kind of that scenario. I'd love to be a part of this program, but I can't really maintain my full inventory, which we don't really advise full inventory. We actually advise curation, just from what we know from our customer kind of journey explorations and focus groups. So curation is really kind of the key, but for those that can't or are just very challenged for keeping things current and fresh and up to date and then very accurate, we just have a gift card level subscription.
But remember,
Did we announce that?
the thing I'll stress
Well,
again,
They're
is
answering
there
that.
are three prongs to
I
this.
wish you
There's
told
a
me
marketing
before.
aspect. When everybody gets together, they can market. There's monetization of the gift card, right, which is obviously there. And then there's the e-commerce. So when you only do the gift card, you're only saying, I'm gonna accept the gift card in my store. Because I don't have any opportunity, I'm not on the street, and I'm not part of it. If I go and look up, I don't see any of your products, I don't see who you are. Just happens to be, I'm walking down the street and I want to use this gift card, right? So that's where, from my perspective, and I know that we want to give opportunities to everybody who wants to be a part of it. To go back to the question I clearly answered, the $600 option is really the go forward option in that way, because we want to have all three of those products. Because if you spent that $350, just have someone walk by, right, and pay, so you could come, we're talking about $250 more a year to get all the things. So.
And
All right, I'm sorry, we've got people here, we've got,
Sure.
I'm just trying to limit it to 3
No problem.
minutes per person if we can. Just because we've got another page and a half of agenda after everybody speaks. Did you have any questions?
Well, he answered all my questions. The price, well, the
Good.
600 and the 350. I mean, I don't know.
what are your thoughts as a retailer?
I'm starting the clock.
I have a very robust website. My website is always updated, always, it's advertised, it's TikTok, it's everywhere. So for me, to spend $600 on that would not be something I would want to do. But would I want to do the gift certificate? Yes. Would I pay $350 to be able to take a gift certificate? No. It's not beneficial to me because I already have a website that I paid money to do. I constantly updated it.
Would you pay $175 subsidized?
I don't know. I don't think listen, my mother would rather put the money in merchandise, not in something like that.
Cool.
I would love to participate. I like to be a team player, but I don't think, I'm already spending enough money on everything. I can't do any, like, I'm a small business, $600 is a lot of money. And I'd rather spend that and get the money back into my store.
But their proposition is that with the marketplace, we're gonna turn.
But I
that
do
six-
my own marketing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't tell you.
I
where
agree.
For the
am.
people who
I
don't
gotta
have
say,
market.
It's for the stores that have no websites right now, because I'm thinking we wouldn't use it either. 'Cause we have a really robust
But when you
shopping cart on
consider
our
it, if there were
website.
1,000
Get a-
people looking at it. every
Listen, I'd be happy to be involved in it and be in the marketplace to use me in it, but I'm not paying money to do it.
Yeah.
Because I already pay enough money on my website.
Yeah.
Do you have a question, Mr. Cole? Go ahead.
First, it seems that you're tied into the Main Street program. And I think that's a very important factor that community needs to know, that has other impacts and other things that are going on in town. Under the best practices of the state, there's a question this year regarding credit card processes. Like the first municipalities you talked about, the state has a program where they want credit cards going. If you use a credit card and you're supporting local businesses, it also gives you a benefit on your real estate taxes and the program that's coming in. Are you part of that program or not? Because that's a question that the town has been asked. If they go to your program, do they write yes or no?
So we don't have anything formal. It's not that we can't offer some type of, so the way I understand it, it's really for the customer as a
Yeah.
credit on their property.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So we don't have anything formally set up where if they shop local, they'll somehow be given, it would take a lot of state involvement to
I'm
like
just,
have to
I'm
get
saying
to
to
that.
look into it, because the
Yeah.
state, in October, they asked a question specific to every municipality in the state.
Yeah.
Do you have a program? And if they go to your program, do they answer yes or no? That's a question.
Well,
I'm just giving you a
Yeah.
scenario.
What the town answers, I don't think she can give you that, what the town answers.
But it could affect.
In a hypothetical world.
No, it affects the state aid. I'm just saying to.
Just to answer on the Main Street piece, our contacts are with Main Street, but we're not dedicated in South Carolina. We're working with Main Street folks. And Charleston, South Carolina is not a Main Street. USA.
I thank you for your presentation, that was cool. business owner, and I unfortunately had to go to Seattle to my daughter who works for the evil Amazon, so.
Do we have any other people on participants here? I don't know, who's BPM? Is that us?
No, it's.
Okay.
So
got it.
anyone who's online that wants to ask a question to be on main can raise their hand.
Does anybody online have any questions for the, regarding the presentation? Okay, I guess we'll move on. Well, thank you
so
very
much.
much. It was
Thank
very
you, guys.
informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. too.
Much appreciated,
Thank you.
much
Nice to meet you.
appreciated,
Thank
much
you.
appreciated.
Thank
Oh,
you.
look what- Much appreciated, much
Thanks for
appreciated.
coming in.
Thanks for
Much
going with the
appreciated.
flow.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank
There
you.
you go. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
thank you.
We're good. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
And certainly if there's any follow-up questions that anyone in the public
Yeah.
has, please
Yeah.
send them my way.
Okay, moving on. That was robust. How about Township Committee report from Richard?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Planning chair.
I'll keep my comments short. So, just report from the township, just a couple of points. On flood mitigation, we had a very exciting groundbreaking for two projects in South Mountain, where the town is undertaking these flood projects. The town is investing approximately $700,000 in the South Mountain neighborhood, and we hope by doing this we're going to really help with flood mitigation in part of the township, and that's just the first step. The other thing in terms of flood mitigation is that for the first time, I think the first time in the township's history, we were able to go to Orange we were able to tour the Orange Reservoir as well as the valves, the infrastructure with Orange officials, and I think it was a really incredible tour. And I think that in terms of flood mitigation, I think it really was enlightening and really opened up some new opportunities for our township to work with Orange in terms of flood mitigation with the Orange Reservoir. Very exciting trip. So that's kind of what I wanted to highlight in terms of what's going on in the township.
Thank you, Richard. Any questions for Richard? No. Business Administrators report, Mr. Administrator.
Yes, two quick reports. On Monday night at the Township Committee meeting, MKW and Associates will be presenting the consensus design for the Taylor Park Gateway project. So any folks from SID that are interested, I would highly recommend tuning in. And following the presentation, the presentation document would be up on the website under the Gateway page.
And that's both in person and remote.
Yeah, so it's an in-person meeting, but assuming Zoom is working, it'll be shared on Zoom.
And the announcement of that meeting was sent by me to all relevant businesses in the surrounding area a week ago. So I've had a few people reach out about their interest in attending, but they were informed of it.
Yeah, and at this stage, it's just the presentation of the design. So at that point, the governing body would decide whether they want to give MKW and Associates the notice to proceed with the preparation of construction documents, which they haven't done yet because we need to make sure that the design is accepted. And then the governing body would also decide if they want to eventually authorize to go out to bid, but we're not at that stage. This is just design, and this is letting the public know about, what this culmination of this process as far as has come to. Next, the township is, we receive Clean Communities grants annually from the state, and we're going to be, we've started using a portion of those grant funds to assist with cleaning up the 5 districts, which we spoke about at the last meeting. And so I just wanted to provide an update that over the last couple of weeks, we've started that program. My understanding is it's gone well, and always happy to receive feedback from Explore, but I believe Mr. Grillo has been in contact with the superintendent of public works, and that seems to be going well. So
Mr. Grillo.
Yeah.
He doesn't call me that here.
Or or I can call you Steve, whichever you prefer. But obviously, subject to change based on the experience you all have. So if you have any feedback, happy to receive it. But I feel like you and Tom have been working well on this, and everything seems to be going smoothly. Those are my reports.
Jesse, thank you. Stephen, treasurer's report.
Sure. Very quickly, as of November 1, our account balance in the bank was $67,628. Happy to report we've gotten another, albeit late, but another payment of the tax. So we're now out of the $204,000 budget for the assessment, we're only down by $1,000. So that's terrific, I
Yeah.
think. The potential carryover into next year is still targeted approximately $10,000. So we're on track for that. And I just do want to point out that on Monday, the presentation of the Township Committee on our budget will be made. And then I believe their final vote is scheduled for December 20. for our
I'll be,
budget.
and I'll be introducing.
Oh,
You will.
And I'll be
Great.
presenting.
okay, excellent. That's all.
Thank you, Stephen. Amanda, marketing and events report.
Take care, everyone. I don't see
Good
you. Have a
night.
great Thanksgiving.
Good night.
You
You too.
too. Okay. So we have a lot to report on, but I'll be as awful.
You do have a lot to report on. A lot of good
Um,
things.
So, yeah.
Please.
Which is go faster.
On one
Stand-
foot.
stand on one foot,
So, just a couple of things I wanted to address, in regarding to the website. We update the website once to twice a week. That's kind of the amount of time we have with the staffing we have. So, some things may be a little behind. The holiday schedule has been on the website for several weeks. It's on the main menu, it says holiday schedule. So that has been available, and I left the here for the holidays up because I knew we were going to be doing a review today. If anyone wanted to go and see the list of vendors or anything, I just wanted you to be able to see it. So I can take that down next week. And the other thing you brought up, Vicky, about the people that don't have any social media or any presence. We've talked about it before. It's definitely something that we're going to be looking into for the 2023 plan. So it's not something we can necessarily do in the moment, but we want to be thoughtful about it.
I think that's really important. It's
Yeah.
gonna be something we're gonna definitely. do.
Yeah, so it's definitely happening. It's just, we want to put more time into it. But to my reports, so here for the holidays.
Let's play a video.
What?
Play a
Okay.
video.
So this is something that Wendy Neeson put together. She helped run the fashion show,
Thanks, Jay.
was a ball of energy.
From the mud bowl heyday.
Yes.
From the good old days.
Yeah,
Mud
so
bowl.
something quick, but here we go.
Very nice.
Yeah. very
Just
good.
a little glimpse. So to give you some numbers behind that, let me just get here. So we had a goal of 150 people to register, but free events tend to have more attrition than ones that you pay for. So our real goal was 250. And we ended up having 265 people pre-register. A little over 200 attended, which was fantastic. And
There was a line when I got
yeah.
there. There was a line to get in.
Yeah, it had a really great energy. It was neat because I think some of the merchants didn't know each other, but since their tables were next to each other, it was kind of informal merchant mixer. I mean, the Avalon was doing fairy hair. There was a line, Jackie, I think you got some fairy hair.
You did.
Just a couple examples of things that were going on. Live painting, you can make your own lip balm. There were massages, tastings, as you saw. And I wanted to share a really cool statistic because we've been doing a lot more marketing and paid marketing this year. We've been making an effort in that. And with the people that pre-registered, they represented 40 different towns, which to me is significant. And I can email you the list, but it's yeah, it goes from Basking Ridge to Clark to Madison to Princeton Junction, Port Murray, Washington, you name
People
it.
who work in town, who work nearby.
So I just think that really says that this event helped get the word out and get the people here. And they had a good time. We are surveying them now, and the survey went out to all the attendees. Very good feedback so far. People would want to come again. They like the weekend. They'd want to do more shopping. So we're getting that feedback as well. And we're also surveying the vendors that participated to just find out what their experience was, what they'd like to change, and so on. So that's going well, but I have to wait for more of those numbers to trickle in. And actually some specifics, attendee surveys, 92% of them rated their experience, overall experience as satisfied or very satisfied. And let me just see. And the vendors so far, the vendors that have responded, 100% want to participate again and want to do it at the same time next year. So as I said, we'll bring more of that to you. Yeah. But it was just a really neat event. I had several people come up to me saying it was a unique mix of things. There was something for everybody. We had a kids corner on the second level that One River ran. So people that had to bring their children with them, they could drop them off up there for a few minutes, enjoy, the evening. So it just, and the space worked out great. And we're very, very thankful to Igor and Yale for letting us use the space. K & Co was also a great support. And Jody and Joanna and the Sarit Harrell group are sponsors. But does anyone have any questions?
If I can take a point of the chair privilege, I have to say it exceeded my expectations. I thought it was a real triumph, and you should both be exceptionally proud. It was
Thank you for
really-
all the work.
It was
It was amazing.
like, I don't know what to say other than it exceeded my expectations. I thought it was well staffed, well attended. The energy was really constant. Jackie brings her own energy.
Yeah, really. She was the third act that's not
Yeah,
listed.
that's right. But no, it was really wonderful. And two different friends of mine from town on two separate occasions said, I've never been to this before. And I said, it's because it hasn't happened. I said, would you come back? They said, that question. So I think that's the proof of the pudding is there.
Yeah, I mean, I concur with what Michael said. I think, once again, you talk about events that benefit the merchants, and clearly this was all they had, all they had to do was really show up with their A game and
Right.
participate. It, they just had to, just showcase who they are. And it also allowed, I don't know how many people said, oh, I didn't know this was in town, or I could buy this here, or, oh, I'm really glad, I'm hosting Thanksgiving. I got a chance to taste the wine before I bought it, and I liked it, or vice versa. Or so I thought all those things were very positive. And I just think also in our post-COVID world, people are just happy to just see other people and engage and connect. So the swag bag was amazing.
Right.
I think you could be busy in that bag all year long. There was a lot of stuff, and I think it was just it was terrific, and you should be commended.
One thing I forgot, I thought the layout
Yes.
forced you or required you to
to
touch
kind of-
every
yeah,
spot.
Exactly. to
Because
get
once
that.
you're in,
By
it's
design.
like a
Yeah.
Disney World line.
Yes,
Once you're
exactly.
in, you're in.
Yeah.
Two
Until you
letters,
get
you
to
had
the
it
end.
right.
Oh,
Two
yeah.
Two
letters,
letters,
you
right.
had it, yeah.
Yeah, that was the strategy and it was
Right.
effective.
Absolutely by design.
You couldn't
And
just go
I
in,
also-
grab your wine and
Nope.
bail out. Yeah.
I also want to give you kudos. I was there with Jackie and Michael, and it was a wow. It was, I happen to think that this event was one of our best. I mean, you know,
The
really
locate,
one
even
of our best.
inside of the location plus where it was located in the
And the
downtown
fashion
area.
show, what a
Right.
bonus. I
Right.
mean, here you have, really,
Yeah.
community members that wanted to participate, like,
Yeah.
and you
And it was
had,
fun.
you had the shopkeepers and it was just.
And the acapella group from the high school.
Right.
I'm
I
sorry you
really-
missed it.
I know, I really, we had sport, we were
You
there
guys
though.
were
We were there.
represented, you
and
were
we-
there,
and we
yeah.
got great, our employees said it was really.
Yeah.
Did you raise, did we raise money for the food pantry? Was that something?
We did,
Yes,
yeah.
we did. There was
We
at
didn't raise
least,
money, there was.
at least
Yeah.
$500 was raised.
Oh.
I'd have to check in with Annette to see what else is coming.
All the products.
But
brought-
people
I
didn't
think-
really
I think
bring
the
a
problem
lot of.
was people thought it was garbage.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Right.
So one thought, not
Yeah.
for this year, obviously, but I remember it talking about ideas for Taylor Park for the holidays for like a shopping like they do in the city.
Mhm.
Now, if we're pulling from 40 different towns.
Yeah.
Like we're getting a little momentum here,
Yeah.
so it would support maybe a cute, not this year, obviously, but something to think about. If we wanted to set up a holiday shopping bazaar concept of local towns, and then it might, I can't remember the name of it, but they have them in the city a lot.
Yeah.
Like a fair.
It seems like maybe we could pull more than just the local, right?
Absolutely.
If once we're kind of getting momentum on that front.
And it also seems like when we have the Main Street closure and I'm walking around talking to people, there are a lot of people from out of town. I wouldn't be surprised if when we have like a fun event that we're pulling, that we're pulling from all the local towns. So I think that there's a commonality there that when we have something, great, people are coming.
And something that I think worked for me is going and talking to, especially because this was a new event. So going to merchants, we had to essentially curate this because it was about what do you need to host for the holidays? It's not for dentists, it's not for lawyers, but I think that personal touch and constant communication really made a difference. And I was just floored with the swag bags. I mean, Short Hills Tile had
Yeah.
hand painted and gold leaf coasters
Right.
for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and who would think that would be coming
Right.
from?
Right.
It's just not obvious, but that's just what they did this year. And I think all of them got a sense of how this kind of went and what they want to tweak. I was talking with Linda Flores, there's a lot of different ideas. And we required people to do something that's an experience, an activity, because it's hard to get people out of the house.
Right.
So I think continuing with that and growing it, I think this could be a big event for us moving forward.
I also think kudos to you. It was before, it was, the timing was great. You had, everybody was in town. It was right after Halloween.
Yep.
We really lucked out with the weather because it was, so
Beautiful.
mild, and I think that also added to the
It was
success.
before it was too busy a time.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It was the
Before
lull.
you get into these
Yeah.
days off of school and then Thanksgiving.
And I also think it was interesting to see like the merchants collaborating together. I mean, it was I guess with all the activity going on, it was a fun environment. It wasn't so much a competitive environment. People weren't, I didn't see any competitive jealousy or anything. People were really having a great time. Maybe the fashion show took some of the, some of the selling edge off,
And we had 14 or 15 vendors featured at that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
There
in
were-
addition to the 30.
and that really brought
That's,
people together.
yeah.
only one of them, Oxford Jewelers, opted to also sell, which was really great. People
Yeah.
seeing their name brought a lot of attention to that. But yeah, there was tons with fashion, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to see what we can do with the fashion element moving forward.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was really great, and it was great kickoff for the season. So everyone that got their bags or checked in, they have a holiday poster of what's coming up.
And we have the email address.
Yes, yes, we do.
And if we had a gift card,
Mhm.
I'm just saying, if we had a gift card, you know,
We could put one in
you,
those.
you could, you could go to your list of all these guests that come and offer them $10 to come back.
I think they call that synergy that you're doing.
Ooh.
You've been
Well,
synergy.
Is that what's happening?
Anyway, just future
I think
thought,
that's what you're
future
working on.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you. So moving on to public art. I'll be very brief as well. Postcard mural, as you saw, we got Mark Marchetta and Michael
Yay.
Cooper
Yay.
Yeah.
to work in tandem, and they did a phenomenal job. So that was really nice to see happen. And there's a few more coats of sealant going on there, so we should have this looking beautiful for a long time to come. For the mural we want to do in Short Hills, like against the Style and Canine. The design has been approved by the owner. He wants to
Great.
do a banner similar to the Ida one that we have in the art alley. So I just have a little graphic design to do, and then we can order it and install it.
Question,
Vacants- Sure.
I saw it in our materials. Is that visible from the train?
Not from the train station.
No, not the train station. If you're just cruising on the train line.
Yes.
If you're basically coming from Summit and going east.
Yeah.
If you're going eastbound, you'll see it, and then anybody driving
We'll see it.
will see it.
It's gonna be above, so there's always a
To your
standard.
point
of-
of out of town,
Yeah.
out of
Right.
town notice. and stuff.
Oh, we have even more for that.
Yeah.
But that mural's gonna be above the cars, because that gas station mechanic, they
Yes.
always have trucks there.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be installed, so
Higher.
everyone can see it no matter what's parked there.
Yeah.
We just wanna be sensitive to that. I've been working with Steve on the vacant storefront art. And the last round of,
Woefully unsuccessful.
yeah, so the last round of people that Steve contacted reported to him that they've been leasing these properties. So it's
Well,
We
there's
only
a
have-
nice
Right.
problem to
We only
have.
have 4.5% of,
Well, yeah, we're at 4% vacancy,
Yes.
so we don't have.
you got a 4% issue.
It was 6% in September and 4.8 now. So we may not be able to put public art.
Not gonna have enough space.
But we're gonna make another
Find
attempt.
another
It's a good-
spot.
Yes,
It's a good
yeah.
problem.
There's one category I want to fail in. It's vacant.
It's
store.
vacant
Okay.
spaces. Yes, so we'll work on the next batch and see if there's any possibilities. The kiosk by Dunkin' Donuts has been moved. I don't know if some of you've noticed that. Now that it's permanently moved, I'm gonna redo the measurements. I've been working with Sergeant Pete. And I'll be able to order the window clings for the inside of the kiosk featuring is it
Shasky.
and Chef's,
Shasky.
yeah. So it's featuring her, like her watercolors and paintings.
Yeah.
So that will be happening before the end of the year.
Adjacent to Dunkin'.
It's, yeah, it's right there. You have to step more into the parking lot to get to it now. It's not just right
Right,
off the
right,
sidewalk.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and then the ShopRite mural is with the owners at this point. So we're just waiting for confirmation as to whether they want to move forward. And then I had tested, DPW was wonderful. I had Lindsay Colombo wanted to be able to do her chalk art on the ground and have it preserved, which is a challenging situation. So I did testing of different sealants and different chalks with DPW, had mild success with liquid chalk, which is what I work with, but her chalk, it kind of washes away. So we're gonna have to go with the exterior floor stamps.
Okay,
So it'll be an image of her work put down.
okay.
So those images have to be chosen, but we're at least at the point where we know which direction we're gonna head in.
Okay.
So I think that covers the public art for now. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so the winter overview. So we have a lot happening, very exciting. We've been slowly rolling it out. The marketing's really gonna start to hit next week. The list is on the website. I think I gave this to you all last time we had a meeting. So the next item up is our winter walk. And what we're gonna be doing is actually having a children's size gingerbread house in the art alley and build a little path there. And that's part of our bigger goal of bringing the people visiting for Winter Walk into the business sector. So it's our first effort, but it's something that we can handle, and I think it'll be a nice addition. So Heather's very happy with it.
I think we talked last time about opening night being 2 to 5 PM and how would the lights be shown in the afternoon and stuff.
She changed it to,
I'm just looking at what was in,
she changed it to 2 to 6.
maybe in the,
They
mid-
said the lights are going on 5:30. I've seen that.
Yeah, she had to
Yeah.
change. She said that the Winter Walk lane celebration is from 2 to 6. So,
Yeah, we're looking at.
I am.
Out of date, it's just these minutes.
yeah.
Oh,
So-
is a new one in here or not?
No, I know.
Okay, all
But
right.
if anybody wants to take it,
Oh.
into
Yeah,
use.
well, you just passed.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
I think you
And
should
I'll-
put
I'll
you-
re-
yes,
I'll
I know where
re-email
this
this to
should
you.
go. You should have this in town hall on the bottom.
We just
Yeah.
did one round of these out. We have a lot more distribution to
Okay.
do.
Yeah, we
So-
should put this up somewhere. a
Right.
couple of these,
They're
Yeah.
actually out downstairs.
Are they?
Can I ask a question so I don't forget? At the Winter Walk lighting celebration, will we be there giving out things to give people of all these other things that are coming up?
Yes.
But they're gonna have a carnival. They're doing all this other, that's kind of their show, but we're
Yeah,
participating in
okay,
it.
but we're gonna be there. It's just there'll be so many people there. It's the perfect place to let people know about all the other things that are coming.
Exactly,
after.
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So that's our participation in the Winter Walk. Small Business Saturday, we're gonna have kind of a wheels of deals. We'll be reaching out to the merchants most likely tomorrow to see how they're gonna participate. Crazy Kevin that you're familiar with, he will be there. We're gonna have a DJ. So that's kind of what's slated for Small Business Saturday. And then the big events coming up are gonna be the Winter Village in downtown Millburn. And as a reminder, it's gonna be igloos. Each one is color themed to the colors in our logo. There's a total of 6 of them, so I added white in. And we'll have fire pits. And then I'm working on contacting vendors now to be able to sell hot chocolate and coffee and s'mores and things like that. But it's gonna be a really nice setup that weekend, and that's at the closure. We're gonna do the Main Street closure again for that weekend, and then,
So we're gonna have igloos and fire pits.
Wow.
yeah, it's gonna be
Wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
That is gonna be so cool.
and then the next weekend we're taking over Short Hill Station. So by Boxcar, we're gonna take over that whole area.
They're outside the seating area?
Yeah, that area with the igloos and with the fire
Okay.
pits. And I'll actually, let me back up. The weekend of, the first weekend in December, we're gonna have the Manhattan Carolers performing on that Saturday. That Sunday, we're having a brass band, as well as a DJ. And then, the first Saturday, at Short Hill Station, we're gonna have a live ice sculpture. So that'll be really neat. And-
What time is this on the?
Which
the-
one?
On the Saturday, December 3rd, the Winter
sorry.
Village. Is that all, that's the Winter Village, is that all?
All weekend?
all-
It's Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I have to add the details just to the website,
Okay, Is
with
it
all
in
the
the
timing.
afternoon?
Yeah, it's in the afternoon. So,
Okay. Yeah.
So in the afternoon, it's essentially from like 12 to 7 with most of the entertainment being earlier. And then so we can have the fire pits and s'mores being a little later while it's dark. But all that detail is going to be added to the website.
okay.
And then we have
Yeah.
the Meet Your Holiday characters. We're gonna have the Grinch, who was very successful last
Mhm.
year, Buddy the Elf, Olaf, and Elsa from Frozen. And we're gonna be working with the businesses to have, like, at certain times, they're gonna be in certain places. I think that'll work out well and help benefit people versus trying to find them throughout the town. So those are the main events, and then we're gonna be looking to reach out to businesses to see who would like to use the igloos in January, if they want to use them for outdoor dining or something else.
Igloos are not holiday centric.
Yeah.
Seasonal.
They're,
So are some of the characters gonna be in some of our other districts? Like,
Yeah.
do we have things like on Upper Millburn Ave?
I don't have that
Right.
all solidified, but we wanted to have more so we could be present throughout the 5 districts.
Yeah.
So that was,
So
the reason.
Something
we-
I learned last year was that the costumes are actually quite difficult to walk in. And so we had some ambitious
Yes,
pedestrian
right,
services.
right.
And so what we're gonna do this year is just isolate people to certain districts. So the Grinch will only be probably in either downtown or up, and we're gonna try to do,
Right.
because it's just really time consuming
Yeah.
for them to
I
get.
just want to make sure we were having
Yeah,
Absolutely.
characters in
Absolutely.
the other
But
districts. and
last
doing
year we
some
were-
things in the
It
other
was a lesson
districts.
learned, a little overly ambitious, that these
Yeah.
costumes are a little more flexible.
No,
Yeah,
this is one of those ways where we can be in more than one place at once.
Exactly.
And so that's what the
Do you
goal
want
is.
to talk about the stipend from the town that Alex is giving us for decor?
Oh, okay.
We shook him down.
What?
We shook him down.
Yeah, no. So we're working on adding some more decorative elements. Most likely, we're gonna be putting additional snowflakes on Upper Millburn Avenue. As well as the, the color uplighting that you'll see on places. Doing something like that at the clock tower. But, as we discussed, we can't do everything in one year, so everything's a phase, but we want to be hitting all the districts and doing things, tastefully. And again, thoughtfully, so Alex was
How
more than
much
glad.
is Alex, how much are you asking for?
He gave us $2,000.
And right now, that's gonna go in which districts?
We're gonna do on the clock tower itself, uplighting and wrap, the probably blue and white or blue and silver wrap. And then on Upper Millburn, we're gonna do
The snowflake.
on all like the parking regulatory signs that have, they've got holes in them, you can
Yeah.
attach a sign.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the snowflakes, because then we can just attach them, because we can't put anything on the telephone pole.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. That's what's hard.
So Upper Millburn will have all snowflakes up. on the screen.
And how much would you need I mean, is it, you know where I'm going with this?
No, it's
Is-
feasible.
How much would you need to engage the other districts?
The big
Uh,
challenge is,
Mars Turnpike.
well, Morris Turnpike is, that's what we really like to decorate.
Yeah.
A lot of out of town traffic.
Yeah.
But you need something that can be seen at a high speed. But it has to be large, right? And so
And it
large
can't need electric.
decorations are expensive, plus the logistics are a little difficult, right? You gotta make sure that it's affixed to the ground, so it doesn't blow off the road.
Right.
And so there's certain things we can do, but it's gonna be pretty expensive.
Right.
So I would think probably another $5,000, something like that would.
And that would be on the right side of Morris, just going.
Yeah, we could run the entire street. So we originally thought about wrapping trees
Mhm.
with like a blue and silver, blue and white kind of look.
Right.
But there's not that many trees that are thick enough to do it. So it would just look just like a standalone tree. And so we're thinking if we could put on some of those larger lawns or driveways, some nice decorations, whether it's a snowflake or whatever it may be. But
They're-
it's just cost
Yeah,
prohibitive.
they're not cheap. Those are not cheap. Those are investments. So we'll get, I think getting numbers, I can get more so we can make decisions for next year.
Listen, what we're trying to do is revamp what the township owns, and the township has some pretty ancient,
No,
nutcrackers.
I know that. I'm just saying, we're always, I mean, a lot of the constructive criticism we get is that we're not really going into the other districts.
Mhm.
So I'm just addressing that. And if it's only a matter of money, then you have the time and the bandwidth,
Mhm.
maybe we could shake some of the donations.
My personal recommendation would be that the township committee should be allocating money for that kind of public support.
Yeah.
What you guys put out every year, the DPW does, is not to the standard of Millburn. It is 1980s beat up snowflakes, nutcrackers. It looks awful. And
Right.
so. it's
I'm just
not-
saying, like, if you had another like $3,000, could we do something on Morris and
I think we
make
can
it,
swing something
make a
in that
difference?
ballpark.
Okay, I'll
maybe.
speak to Alex. Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean,
But I
that's-
think overall, and because I guess the season is a good time, is the township really should be reevaluating what they have in their inventory
Right.
and replacing it.
Right.
For the holidays.
Right, that's why I haven't been pushing as much on our end, because I feel like I wasn't here last year, I don't know what was up, just to take an assessment of the town and what direction
Well,
you
that
guys
may
wanna
be
take.
that may be a better strategy, or take the money and maybe
Yeah.
do something in some spring beautification that where the duration and the time frame would be a little bit more extended.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Checking,
think
you know.
what's actionable, what can we actually do?
If
you
we
know?
had an extra $3,000, we could probably do something pretty nice on those.
So let's see if we can work on that. You know, I mean, try to be helpful on that.
And then, but I do seriously think that the township committee needs to put a budget line together for this type of stuff.
Well,
Well,
when,
and a strategic plan for holiday decors.
And we're
It's
happy
a
to
big
do that,
deal.
and that's what happens a lot, is Alex says, I have this money, but I need you guys to project manage,
Yeah,
right?
Which
Just
we
like
can
the
do.
parking deck sign. Great, we're happy to do it, but I'm not gonna go out and find $10,000 worth of Christmas decorations or holiday decorations, or winter decorations. If there's no money, there's no money for it,
right,
you know, but
right, well, we will be presenting to the township committee. I mean, maybe worth us a couple sentences.
yes.
Really tactical note, can we just ask UPW when they put the outdated snowflakes up to make sure they're all lit? I just remember in the Wyoming area, because that's
That's
where
right,
I
yeah.
drive. Last year, like, there were,
It was
like,
stuck
at
in
least half of
ducks.
them were not even lit up in
Some
that
of them don't
area.
work. I know you worked with them this year to get rid of some of the ones. that don't.
Well, I was trying to find out how many need to be replaced, but
And then
that's-
some of the
that's a
poles they
number
put
that-
them on
yeah.
won't
Well,
support it.
this is with Tom Doty, right? This is what should be discussed, yeah.
but just keep in mind, we're now in November.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
only certain things that are gonna be possible. This is why this is like a good January conversation.
But they're, I'm crazy, they're not working because they're just cool.
Yeah, and there's two different was it iterations of them. Some are larger, some are
Right,
smaller,
yeah.
you know, Johnny was pulling them out so I could see what we were dealing with. If I was trying to match something to it.
But it's
so-
like, if something doesn't work, why are they even
Don't
putting it up?
break them.
Like, don't put it up and then not have
But then they
it.
also, you know, like on Upper Millburn, for instance, you do have telephone poles, right? But the telephone poles were crooked. So if you put snowflakes, up, they look like this.
Right.
And it doesn't exactly create the vista that you're looking, but maybe on the other hand, if the town were to purchase, you know, some string lights, right? Then it doesn't matter if the poles are uneven, right?
It still
So
works.
maybe it's about figuring out, like you said, kind of a master plan for decoration. Right, you know, work with what you have in terms of what you're gonna fix them to.
Right.
Snowflakes don't really work because they're crooked.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah, I think that some of this town needs the bandwidth of the person that's gonna do
The
it. I mean,
execution.
We're lucky
Yeah.
enough to have you guys.
Executors in chief.
I mean,
I
I
think
think
so.
really
I
nice
think
to
it's you guys at DPW, though, a little bit more than the two of us.
Yeah.
No,
No, they're
it's not
fantastic.
something Vicky mentioned earlier, because I think I also went to the website. It would be great to have on the homepage. I remember we did this with Hurricane Ida, that there was like a pop-up,
Mhm.
right, when you went on the website for
Okay.
Hurricane Ida.
Mhm.
I think we have such great stuff, and I know that the holiday thing is a
Right,
menu item, but let's just do a pop-up window
Sure.
that, like, click
And
here
this
for the
comes up.
holiday.
yeah,
Yeah, to get right to the holiday.
this could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
great.
I'm,
That's
I'm
great.
gonna break it out into sections that are easier to read. I just got this up because
Yeah.
that's where we were at.
That's
Can-
great.
can- So the sponsors, can I ask what, so I see we have sponsors, season sponsors and event sponsors.
Mhm.
Those are not reflected on the monthly budget because I see sponsor report at the bottom. So how much did they give? How did we
Okay.
get those
So
sponsors and
season-
what do they do?
Because of how we work with the chamber, we've been working very closely with them on the winter walk. We're
Yeah,
working
chamber,
together.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, the.
Jody and Joanna and Sarit and Harel, we just got the checks, what, a few days ago?
Oh,
Yeah, I
no,
just
I
got
mean,
the-
that's great, but how much and what, like,
We made 1,500 from, no, I'm sorry.
No.
1,100.
Yeah.
From sponsorships for that event. So it was two $500 sponsorships, one from Jody and Joanna, one from Sarit. And then we had an out-of-town vendor. We couldn't find someone for that particular.
For travel.
For travel agent. We talked to the local people, they didn't do it. And so she paid to participate.
Yeah.
So the season sponsors
Yeah.
for this holiday season, or was this for the,
event.
here for the holidays?
They're gonna be for the whole season. The event
Right.
sponsors are on here because I had these printed before here for the holidays. So this is the first round of this. We're gonna have more sponsors, so then we'll print.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's like,
Yeah.
which event and should it be on here? How much is it? And did we give all the businesses the opportunity to sponsor? Because like, it's the first time seeing it and
Mhm.
I'm thinking, gosh, with the great, you know, that,
Yeah.
that
I-
there
I
could be.
agree.
The
Yeah,
event
it's a
sponsors are
sort of-
gonna go. This is gonna go away. This was just honoring them and their support because.
So we shouldn't put these up in our windows?
No, put
or-
them up. We're gonna but we'll have replacement ones when we have more sponsors on there to share.
But I think your point is well taken, that for home run events, wow events, I think that we have to be fair, equitable, and also ask for enough money. I mean, I know this is not a criticism, it's just a suggestion for as we go forward. But when we have like a major event and those donors are also going to participate, I think we have to be fair and make sure that we charge enough, and we also go out to our other members of the community.
Yeah, I am curious, like these two businesses are the whole season sponsors for all of these events? And how much do they give? And is it still open for other businesses?
No, it's absolutely open. I
Is that
actually, I
right?
emailed the whole board earlier today to see what the interest was there. We're just moving as fast as we can.
No, I
So-
know, I just.
So
it's a
no,
good-
we
I'm
want,
not
we
criticizing-
want, we want sponsors. We want as many as we can get because we've been investing a lot in this, including in marketing, which just to give you some highlights, we have paid marketing with Macaroni Kid, with New Jersey Family Guide. If you received it at home, the most recent Short Hills Millburn Monthly, we're the back cover. And we worked with the chamber on that so that we could share that cost. And then we were in the Patch and Tap Into, and then I have a dozen plus sites that I'm gonna be listing all of these events on for the remainder of the year.
And just to clarify something, so just going right to left, ABC and K and Co. ABC is the company that owns 12 homes. So they donated the space to us. So
Right.
that was an in-kind.
Yeah.
K and Co. helped organize the event with us. So that was an in-kind.
Mhm.
The chamber, we do many things. with
Yeah.
that, so that's why we co-brand. So the only two that paid us as a sponsor
Right.
were Joanna and Jody and Joanna and the second
Right.
girl. But that sponsorship is still open. And we did go to a number.
Yeah,
of
there
businesses
isn't a
prior.
limit to how many season sponsors
No.
we can have.
Yeah,
This is static for the moment, but.
yeah. It feels a bit ad hoc at this point, and I realize that we're moving a million miles a minute, but it almost feels to me like we should have a little meeting or a subcommittee around putting parameters around levels of sponsorship, making sure the businesses know what they are. And so the marketing that goes along with, like, to be a full season sponsor, what does that really mean? Their names are gonna go on everything because they threw $1,000. Like, I feel like it just needs a little more thought.
Yeah, I don't, you know what, I think that the event was so terrific and everybody had so much fun. But I think that a lot of times the people that are donating, are members of the community. And in this case, they were very active in the event. So I think that we have to be really careful in terms of what's paid, who these sponsorships are offered to, and also limitations are put in terms of, that they get highlighted for the event, but for $1,000, this should be distributed all, for the season. Anyway, but I share your concern.
Let's also just keep in mind one thing is that unlike most nonprofits, people like a tax, right? And so people that are paying the tax are getting charged once, and that's funding the event. So anything that we collect above that is a true donation on top of the assessment. And so don't necessarily, not that you're wrong, I'm not saying that, but don't, just keep in mind that if you're going to someone to sponsor and say, give me $1,500 for this event, they may already be paying you $2,000 for operation. And so a SID's a little different than a traditional not-for-profit in the way that you fundraise and just the sensibilities of it. That's not to say we shouldn't do it, we certainly want to. I'm sure that, Amanda's gonna hit you up for cash now, because we talked about it. But just something to keep in mind is that, how many times do you really want to people for money when they're already paying?
Well, I wouldn't say hit up, it's opportunities for
Yeah,
sponsorship
no,
to
exactly.
expand marketing.
Yeah.
And these sponsors are in very competitive fields with other
Realtors.
members of the SID that are in the same competitive field. And I understand what you're saying, and I'm just saying, like, if there were other realtors that were visiting, that showcase, and they knew, that it's $1,000, $600, they may have wanted the opportunity to say, I want my name here.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to walk down and I want to dress up and I want to do all
Because
this.
this is gonna, this,
Yeah, I mean, it's not, this is just, I mean, we don't work so fast and things. I mean, we're talking about the future.
Yeah, I'm not,
We're talking into
it's
the
just,
future. And
we're
it's
in
not
a good
criticism.
position. Yeah.
This is just
this is like-
analysis of,
I'll tell you what's
how
gonna
we-
be easy to get sponsored for next year, here for the holidays.
Yeah,
Right?
That's, I mean,
Everyone's gonna say, man, I wish I'd sponsored that last year.
so no, and what the approach that was decided from our team was to have one level of sponsorship and let's see how many people we can get. This is kind of the first time doing this.
Yeah,
So having a tiered sponsorship level, that's no problem. I've built those several times.
Yeah.
But it's good to have your feedback on that. So
I
this,
think just, I'm sorry, one last thing on that. I feel like we still need perhaps to stratify a little bit some of our subcommittees and what their responsibilities are, because it seems like it's just sounding like this is the type of thing there should have been some subcommittee or board approval. So I don't know if the sponsorship piece is business development. I forget even
I
what
think
our
it's events
exact,
and marketing.
or is it events and marketing?
Yeah, I think that's what we call.
But I think we should just, I think we can also revisit with the new year coming, just what should our subcommittees be, what's the process? I say, and somehow find a way to just have these checkpoints, even though we are moving a million miles a minute, just
Mhm.
because I think the board also brings an additional perspective.
yeah,
right, right.
That-
That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I-
again, not to say
yeah,
it's a right or wrong, but just some additional checkpoints,
Mhm.
again,
Right.
And
without.
keep in mind,
holding
you know,
up
last
the process.
spring, we fundraised for a lot of our landscaping. Right, and so we have the landscaping side of it, we have the holiday event side of it, we have
The
live
music.
music, and
Right.
so we fundraised for that.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think you're right, Tracy. We can create something where there's at least 3 things that we do that are smart sponsorships, right? Spring cleaning, holiday events, live music. Those are all major things.
Mhm.
And then there's other smaller things like business education programs or whatever that we could also. But so I think you're right. I think we should sit down and say, what is sellable to sponsors
Mhm.
and how do we want to quantify that? Because some people are going to be interested in the live music, but maybe not the landscaping. Fine. And we just create something that's very flexible. But yeah, I think now that we have a really strong plan for 2023, I think that makes it certainly much more interesting to a potential sponsor.
I also just want to put out there, to me, success breeds success. So having people on this paper as sponsors makes it easier for me to go to
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
than no one on the bottom. So just another perspective.
so this should go, these are out already?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned, so like some of these, so if they scan the QR code.
That goes
they'll
straight
get
to the holiday.
And they'll have the time, the exact
I
time.
have to add that. That was stripped from this.
Yeah,
So I have to add it back in to the website.
right, okay, and then the other thing is it rain or shine? I'm
You
just
mean
asking.
snow or shine?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
We
precipitation,
We can't, this is gonna happen or it's not.
Sure,
gonna
So
God.
it's rain or shine.
so it's rain or shine, so I think that should somewhere be,
Well, I can add that to the website and then the next iteration of this.
yeah, and the
Okay,
time,
Please remember, I know, just from the marketing perspective, I just asked, we need to have more details on the website. It doesn't have to all be on the post. Yeah, I say, let's just, we want to drive people to the website. Yeah, so that QR is going right to the holiday
Yeah.
page? Okay, good. But I say, people are seeing the posters for 2 minutes, everybody. Like, we can't put the whole A to Z on the poster.
okay,
It's totally, I mean, the
that's fine.
standard like approaches. I'm not saying it can't say rain or shine, but I say it feels like a lot of details. Yeah, creeping back on. So I just want to encourage us to like
We've
keep.
been
jumping
through
too
this
far.
on
Okay,
several drafts. So
Yeah.
this is where we've landed with this.
I'm gonna move, can we move on to you, Steve, and your
Yeah.
report and in speedy fashion?
I
Thank
yes,
you.
I just want to can I just make one mention about, the big spring event that we're kind of in formulation? Yeah.
Jackie is.
Well, I just want to mention it.
Spring, it's barely November.
I know, but I just want to kind of put it on everybody's radar. We haven't finalized the date, but we're gonna take the Founding Day celebration, add a art show and a music performance component. I attended with Steve, the artist studio tour in South Orange and Maplewood. We also attended the Maplewood Art Show with Richard. So we're gonna incorporate, once again, these kind of art, community, music, and put it in locations that's gonna drive traffic to our merchants. And it's a work in progress, but it's on the radar. So pretty excited about it.
Most likely last weekend. would be
Yeah,
the
right,
last
so
week.
it's kind of an expanded Founders.
Yeah, an expanding
Mhm.
Founder's Day, April 29th, 30th is tentative, but that's.
And goal is to take it out of Taylor Park. Have something at Bauer Center, but then also activate the art alley, Town Hall Plaza.
Town Hall
Try to
Plaza.
bring more to the businesses. We know that the model works, so now we
Mhm,
can
mhm.
expand it.
Okay, that was now on. Go on, Steve.
Hit it, Steve.
All right. Do you mind if I sit there?
Not at all.
The one.
Great job and all that.
Come on down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on down.
It's the holidays.
All right, I'll be very quick.
Uh,
Although I just one prepared statement for the record. Parking deck signage, so you guys know, we work with the town to design signage both on the deck and in the downtown to direct people to the deck. And so there was a minor change order on that, and then there was some little delay in the contract between the vendor and the town, but we're anticipating first week of December for unveiling. And once that happens, you will all know, and we'll have a nice day standing out in front of the parking deck, waving at a sign.
Great.
But it's a big deal, quite honestly, for this SID to be empowered by the town to take over that project. So we're very excited about that. Business education seminars, we've completed those for the year. I just want to give you guys a couple pieces of recap. So we partnered with the Union County Economic Development Corporation. We did 2 seminars with them. That was marketing research tools and social media for small businesses. I'll send you.
Okay, good, thank you.
You know what, I'll give it to you. We had over 20 attendees for both of those seminars, and they were provided free of cost for us and of course the attendees. But in 2023, if we do want to formalize something with Union County EDC, we would compensate them for their time, but I thought they did a wonderful job. We also hosted a seminar series with John Brennan of Focal Point Business Coaching. 12 businesses participated in a 4-session series. So each business attended 4 individual sessions. Those were on revenue generation, succession planning, technology for small businesses, and access to capital. And those were conducted over about 5-6 week period. And then anyone who completed those 4 one-hour sessions is then entitled to a free 90-minute personal business development session with John, the coach. So 12 businesses participated. There were some issues with logistics because each individual had to attend 4 separate seminars. And I would change that going forward because who couldn't make session number 2, but could make session number 4. And so I think if we consolidated it, it would probably work better. We tried to give people as many options as possible. I think that was the mistake. Don't give people options, just tell them where to be. But overall, I thought there was a lot of value there as well. And so that's something that we could potentially use our business development funds for. They're in the budget for next year. Also, to Tracy's discussion before, fundraise as well. We get a sponsor for that. We could easily cover the cost. And I think it's very sellable. Wonder Truck. So I do just want to read something into the record because Ms. Urso did mention it. I'll tell you the story. This should only take a minute or 2. So on November 2nd, Alex McDonald, Jesse Molman, and I received an email from Ms. Perry Urso complaining that a Wonder Truck was preparing food in the parking spaces directly behind Enzo's Trattoria at 514 Millburn Avenue. As a point of reference, Mrs. Urso and her family's real estate management company, Fair Properties, own Enzo's as well as the apartments above the restaurant and other retail properties in the area. They're also the plaintiff in the lawsuit against the town over the validity of the SID. At the October 13th SID meeting, Ms. Urso questioned Explorer sponsorship with Wonder, and the conditions of the sponsorship arrangement were explained on the record and memorialized in the minutes from that meeting, which we approved tonight. In terms of the specific complaint, Ms. Urso sent an email with an attached video of a Wonder Truck, quote, cooking and their exhaust and diesel infiltrating the business through our doors and windows and not conducting a delivery service, end quote. This is a violation of the policy that the town has with Wonder to not provide food preparation services to any customers within the boundaries of the SID, and Ms. Urso's complaint is merited. However, in the same email, she questioned, quote, because Wonder is a corporate donor to the SID, Have they been granted a waiver, and are they exempt from all necessary rules of law and guidelines, end quote. So unlike her previous concern, this is totally without merit. To my knowledge, the town and or any of its departments, including Explore, has never granted Wonder any type of exemption or special treatment. Nonetheless, given the aforementioned town policy, we took Ms. Urso's complaint seriously and investigated the matter. The order was called in by one of the Urso's residential tenants, and that tenant ordered from Wonder multiple times in the past. The address they inputted into the app, which is how you order from Wonder, was not included in the app's avoidance zone due to a technical oversight. So the street parking on Millburn Avenue is included in the avoidance zone. And effective immediately, the restricted area will now contain the parking lot behind their building as well. So therefore, anyone attempting to use the app in the avoidance zone on Upper Millburn Avenue will be rejected and unable to order. So we'll continue to monitor this situation, encourage anyone who sees a Wonder truck in violation of the town's policies to report it in the event that there is a technical error like what occurred in this case. And finally, I'd like to note for the record that this is the first and only time that I've received a complaint from any business in the CID about a Wonder truck preparing food in the restricted zone. So my assumption is that the avoidance zones are working because the orders are not coming in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know Ms. Urso asked if we were going to address it tonight, and I think I've done so sufficiently. I'm going to skip the 2022 success tracker because we covered most of it. Then there's a couple of items for discussion. The first is, unfortunately, the resignation
Can I ask you a
of,
quick question
yeah.
before we get? I remember that right turn lane test we had talked about last month. Did that happen
that's
yet?
going to be put off till New Year.
Okay.
There's a couple of road paving projects that are going in,
Okay.
and they're going to
On Main Street,
on Main.
It was the Main Street, remember?
Main
that?
onto Millburn.
Yes.
The engineering department wants to tear up the parking paint so that it's clearer, that you can't park there.
Just for
but-
the test?
Just for the test, but so they don't want to do it just for the test. They want to do it when they're going to fix the road anyway. So it's going to be pushed into 2023.
Thank you.
Sure. So unfortunately, Jumana had to resign from the board effective the 7th due to a health condition. And so we wish her the best. She's doing well, but I think in speaking with her, it was the best decision for her and her family. And she will be missed, but she has offered to join our advisory board in 2023. So when I present that advisory board for your approval in January, you'll see her name on it. And so we're not losing her as part of the family. She's just going to move to a different role. What I would like for you this evening to do is to authorize me to begin interviewing members of the advisory committee to replace her as a tenant. And so I will bring a final recommendation to you. And then the final recommendation can be approved by the township committee, just like any other appointment. We don't have control over that. But that would probably happen late December, January, if we move quickly. And then that person, whoever that may be, would be selected to complete Jumana's term, which goes through the end of next year. So it will be a 1-year appointment and then a possible renewal.
Did you have candidates in mind?
We do. We have some really strong candidates. I'd like to replace her with another woman to continue diversity on the board. Also, I'd like to focus on someone outside of downtown. So we do have that. Again, that was one of the principal reasons for recruiting Ashley. We thought that he brought representation up from Millburn Avenue. And so we do have a couple of candidates who fill that role, both as being women business tenants or owners, and from that side.
And so our board would approve your recommendation, and then you bring that forward to TC
Correct.
for a quick vote.
Yes, and they would make an appointment.
They
just like you
still
made.
make the appointments?
In perpetuity. We appoint our advisory
Just-
committee.
Okay.
So the advisory committee would require township committee approval in year 1. Now we have autonomy over that.
Mhm.
However, board appointments are always with the TC. We have no authority. Okay. Next, restaurant week. So I don't want to dive.
So
too-
that's not a vote, though. You just need consensus. to make
Consensus.
sure-
Would you like me to find
Okay.
another board?
Yes,
member?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
I figured that would be an
Clear.
easy one.
Yeah,
Get
no,
somebody great.
yes.
So I'll come back to you guys hopefully at the next meeting with someone. The next item is Restaurant Week and a potential partnership with a group called Opportunity Project. So Amanda and I have been talking about trying to do an inaugural Restaurant Week event, probably in early March, kind of a dead period for a lot of businesses in between holidays before the spring. And so we have a lot to iron out with that. And Tracy and I had an in-depth conversation about this, and this is going to come under her jurisdiction in the Events and Marketing Committee. But we were approached by a group called Opportunity Project. They're actually based on Willow Street, and they work with a number of, they work with brain injured or developmentally disabled individuals. And they were looking to do some type of restaurant week promotion on their own. And it just happened to coincide with us trying to launch it as well. And so, again, without getting too far into the details, but just looking for approval to potentially work with this partner, the idea would be a portion of the restaurant week proceeds for the restaurants that participate would go to help fundraise for Opportunity Project, which is a not-for-profit. But also, they're interested in working with us so that some of their higher functioning clients could potentially work in the restaurants that are participating.
Do they do training?
They do training, yes. And so Tracy and I talked about this, that, we certainly want to get an idea from Opportunity Project as to how much training is needed, lead time, what the best situations may be, but they were over the moon with the idea of potentially putting some of these folks in a real world setting. Additionally, I think it puts our money where our mouth is to say, not only are you coming to Restaurant Week and supporting the town, you're also donating to this local not-for-profit. And because they're participating, someone's actually getting job experience here.
Right.
It won't be a long time, but these are also people that sometimes they have difficulty, working for long periods or whatever it may be. And so I think it's a great move for us to try to not only create a new event, but also work with a community partner. So without promising any details and things that still need to be worked out, I was just hoping for consensus for you guys that if Tracy, Amanda, and I can find something that works logistically, that we would proceed with this.
Yeah, I would just add, Splurge has often on hired people from Opportunity Project and they work with us and they're great. So great organization, and I just throw that out there. Another thought or comment is normally Restaurant Week is sort of like you're enticed to go visit high-end restaurants for like a set menu. I'm thinking New York City
prefix.
restaurant. Yeah, like $20.23
That's part of it,
for
yeah.
next year, and you get a 3-course meal.
Right.
And it's kind of fun to try high-end places you wouldn't go to. Layering in the fundraise aspect of this, though, I think we just need to be clear about what is the purpose of Restaurant Week, because the perception is not fundraise normally. It can be, but the perception is that would be very different than Restaurant Week in many other communities or this New York City
Yeah.
and stuff.
Our thinking
Right.
was, let's say you go to dinner at Common Law, and if you order one of the 3 desserts, that chocolate souffle, that proceed gets donated to Opportunity.
So the restaurant has to
Track it.
track
make the
it
donation.
and actually do it, and then
That's
it's the
part of the meal.
restaurant's donation as part. It's how do you market it and how do you set that up so
Agreed.
that it really works for everybody? That's all. It's very challenging because it's a different concept. I'm not saying I'm against it. I think it's a great idea, but from a positioning and communication and marketing perspective, to get people to come do it and get restaurants to participate.
Mhm.
But we have to keep
What
it
is that?
simple.
Yeah,
Whatever
keep it
is, has to
simple.
be
Right,
simple.
right,
And
right.
that donated amount should be the same, should be consistent, whether it's $5 or, I think,
I think it's something we could figure out.
yeah, yes. I
Yeah,
agree. I think it's a
simple
great
and-
idea. also.
Yeah, yeah.
And this will
I-
give us about 4 months lead time, which
Yeah.
I think is gonna be required. So yeah, we'll work diligently on it.
I
And
think
just my hope on the Opportunity Project piece with the working was that it's not bringing people in to work there just for that week. I think that's
Right.
it's part of a bigger strategy, and I know Steve Bright also went to this presentation recently about this whole opportunity of trying to connect people with special needs with job opportunities. In fact, I know the Words owner was one of the speakers at the event. They are very prominent in like succeeding in that area. So this is a nice umbrella that could be a component of it.
Let me just ask something else. Does it just have to be restaurants, like your bakery
Yeah.
and, so what, can we, eat like.
Oh, it could be broader. I think this is just like a starting point, or
like,
just
or
crossing
even eating establishments to just kind of
Yeah.
think about.
I mean, I think, you
A
would,
taste of Millburn, maybe.
well, you
Right.
had talked about maybe trying to enhance your retail component, right? That you've got, people could come in and buy cookies if they wanted, right? But a lot of people don't know that. They think they come in for a beautiful
Yeah.
birthday cake. And so, maybe this is the opportunity to say, if you're gonna have dinner at Moonshine, well, think about maybe going down the street and getting your dessert at Splurge because they're staying open late Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Those are
Although
things,
Moonshine sells desserts and they probably want, but yeah, I mean,
you get where I'm going. with
yeah,
it.
I know, I do, and I totally get it, but that's just the importance of structuring it and positioning it. And for the appointment, that's like much longer term, right, than just this one event, right? I get it. There's
Exactly.
like that sort of like,
Well, and that's part of
a
having this
direction.
conversation now
Yeah.
is, and I hadn't really thought of it, but Tracy, I think illuminated it really well when we spoke this week is, if we know an event is gonna happen the first week of March, well, maybe in the middle of February is when we start actually bringing these folks in. So they're getting acclimated and so that they're learning some skills so that when the event actually happens, maybe they've already been on the job for 2 or 3 weeks, and I think that might be a good strategy.
I mean, there are challenges, right, to
Sure.
actually, you're talking about, are they temporary employees, are they permanent, what the insurance, you gotta onboard them. I mean, it is hard
If-
to train and bring on new people and add them to the staff and safely, right? In our experience, like knives in the back, like, there's just things
always
that,
You really have to, I forget her name now.
Yeah.
Julie.
Right,
yeah.
really work with them on this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to also, be too ambitious. We want to do something that's
So it's now
manageable
have
and
the,
set-
have the
set it up for
conversation and
success.
see where we go.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So consensus that this is a good idea and you'd like
Yeah,
us to proceed.
I'm also thinking maybe that it's not, not just the whole restaurant week, maybe we do like the cafe set, like like lunch, not just dinner, maybe a cafe, so that you can end up, so.
Well, it lives up to the explore Millburn short. Here's Hills Piece, like, okay, start here,
Right.
then you can go
Right.
here and kind of have a
Progressive dinner.
yes.
There was
that
something
concept.
that we saw with Edible New Jersey, which is a magazine and website dedicated to food, but you could design a meal, right? And say, well, if you're gonna get your app, your before dinner drink, go to Moonshine because they have a bar. And then if you're gonna go get dinner, you go to the sushi place. And if you're gonna get dessert,
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
say like,
Right.
make your night
Instead of a
using-
bar crawl, it's a food crawl.
Yeah.
Right, right. that
but in
would
a
be
much
fun.
higher way than a lot of food crawls where they
Yeah.
just take restaurants and put stuff on the street. This is a much more elegant way,
Yeah.
which I think here for the holidays, you said it, I thought really interesting. You said the merchants brought their A games. That was the point, was to just be above and beyond, do something special. I think we could do the same thing with this type of event where don't just put sternos out on the sidewalk and people buy tickets and get the food. It's about a date night, that you're gonna,
Well, then you buy into.
Yeah.
I like it.
all right, then the final thing is the Citizen Advisory Affordable Housing Committee. So my friend to my left is on the Township Committee, and they have been discussing the Citizens Committee on Affordable Housing. And I'm just going to read the draft ordinance. This has not been introduced yet, but the township officials have asked me to discuss this with you guys. So this committee has been established due to the Township Committee's desire to solicit input from residents to be open and transparent in the ongoing process involved in meeting the township's affordable housing obligation. The committee is a resource for the residents of Millburn, committee groups, and the Affordable Housing Subcommittee. They assist in gathering and dissemination of information with regards to the township's obligation and to promote greater public awareness of the Fair Share Housing Act and other matters related to affordable housing. So this committee would be consisting of 11 members, 2 township committee members, 6 residents, 1 from each of the 5 elementary school districts and 1 that currently resides in a rental apartment, the Millburn Board of Education president, 1 commercial district property owner, the executive director of Explore Millburn or a member of the board, and the business administrator. So I think there's a lot to unpack with this.
Can I
And-
ask where Explore Millburn fits into this?
So
Where and why?
yeah, so I think the idea here is that we represent businesses and properties all surrounded by affordable housing developments, both existing and in the future, right? Obviously, our footprint is enormous. And so the thinking from the committee was that we should have some type of influence or ability to discuss how this would impact businesses, property owners, and the CID overall. I think that's a noble pursuit. I'm not sure that given the political climate of affordable housing, both in Millburn and New Jersey, that my honest appraisal or opinions would be treated as that. I worry that potentially someone will say, well, Steve Grillo only recommended this because a developer is paying a big SID tax. And so he said no to a development and something like that. So that's my concern, is that even if I'm being as transparent and professional as possible, there may be this perception that I can't be impartial because there are stakeholders of mine, right, and ours that are either negatively or positively impacted.
Well, you almost have conflicting interests.
Yeah, we're paying you
Yeah.
as the executive director. We, meaning the taxpayers, are paying
Right.
you. The members are paying you to act as the executive director of the Explorer. What I was gonna ask even before that, Michael, was again, when you first started describing the committee, I thought, great, there's so much misinformation, so much confusion about, so much rumors and like, I've even
False
heard
information.
racist comments about like the impact on, like, it's a lot there, right? So this is great. It's a committee, people, it's an information resource to get the real facts and all that stuff. That's perfect. But when you started naming the members of the committee, what is the mandate of this committee then? Why do you need representation from all these different areas if the facts are the facts around litigation, around the decisions made already? Like, this committee isn't empowered to really change or do anything other than disseminate information in a more efficient way, unless I'm misunderstanding the committee. It's like, who cares whether the membership of the committee has these what did you name, like
The 6 elementary schools and a board of ed. Right.
And I think also environmental.
Not on this.
Oh, no, what-
like, what were the members again? Sorry.
2 township committee
It's
members.
the last page, 2 pages of.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll read it just for the record. 2 township committee members, 6 residents, 1 from each of the 5 elementary school districts, and 1 that is currently a rental user, so an apartment renter. One, the president of the Millburn Board of Education, a commercial district property owner, myself, or a designee from the board, and the business administrator or a designee.
I know what for us to consider is what our views are with respect to our Explorer's involvement, but I guess my questions are more fundamental to why.
I
Like,
think it's way beyond the scope of what you do. And even what the organization is. I understand having a building, a property owner. But
I mean, maybe, again, it's not our job to recommend what the TC does. It's Richard's job.
no.
Yeah,
I'm saying from where we sit.
It's a little more complicated, because I mean, there's certain properties that are right now are commercial that are gonna become housing, right? Like, so
So,
like, will they have been paying SID taxes and then not? Like Wells Fargo, it was commercial. but
Wells
now it's
Fargo
gonna
paid
be-
the SID tax in
Right.
2021.
Right.
No,
No,
that's not true. There was no
They
tax.
were exempt.
They would have been, well, so no one paid a tax in
Right.
2021. Had there been a tax,
They were.
they would have been assessed because they were commercial. Then when the location was demolished, it came off the SID roll. And we only collect the commercial portion
Right.
of a property.
I mean, the whole Andy said property, right?
Right, and
Okay.
so you could argue
I'm
that
just- I'm just
Steve
thinking
Grillo would
out
want
loud. Yeah.
an affordable housing unit as long as it had retail.
but
Right.
that's why what this committee is supposed to do,
Yeah.
we're
Role.
assuming that you're there to advocate or not advocate.
Yeah.
But I'm reading the role of the committee is merely to assist in the gathering and dissemination of information with regard to our obligation and to promote a greater public awareness of the act and the rules of the Council of Affordable. So it's a conduit only. It's supposed to disseminate the information and not get into advocacy and not get into, so that's why it's a little inconsistent, in my opinion, as to the role of the committee versus
The
the
mission,
need,
yes.
the need to have all these representatives from abroad. But like, why do you need that? I would think that the committee would be, who's most knowledgeable, who's the lawyer that can explain the Fair Housing Act in New Jersey, what that means, and then you know what I mean? It's like, it's a disconnect between the purpose of the committee and why you feel you need 5 elementary school district and resident members. They're gonna come in feeling they've got another purpose and role why they're on this committee than merely disseminating and explaining what's going on.
I
I
think
don't-
the benefit,
So,
That would be my TC. If I was standing in
So
front of
at the
TC, I'd be.
township meeting, this was discussed and it's been a very divisive issue, as everybody knows. I personally, and I alluded to this at the meeting, I have a lot of reservations over Steve's participation in this, because because all of the, all the stakeholders that are involved in this, it's a very, very hotly debated issue. It's, people come out of affordable housing and it's generally a very heated discussion. I personally think, and I think from my experience, I think it would politicize our organization. Our mission is very clear. Our mission is to support our businesses and to promote engagement. And I don't see how this.
And as a nonprofit, we have to be
Yeah.
apolitical. If we start wading in and
I
Steve
think-
says anything at these meetings.
And Richard, to your
Yeah,
point,
I
I
agree.
think we have, there will be a share of thorny issues we have to, by mission statement, have to wade into. I don't know that this is one of them. This doesn't seem to be within.
This was my concern
scope
that
of
I
what
raised at the
we're
council meeting. I raised this concern. I thought this should be
Oh, I'm
discussed.
glad
I
you
thought
did.
that this should be discussed at our board meeting. It's
Not
really
that it's not important,
this is
it's
really a
just-
policy decision of whether we want our executive director to get involved in this. This may,
Your consultant.
and as our, anybody that's an attorney here, I'll also mention that, it's very possible, likely that there's going to be further litigation with this. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but it's very possible that there's a lot of litigation that will be happening here. So my feeling and my input would be that Steve does not get involved with this, but certainly the board should decide this.
I would also wonder why a commercial district property owner would be on this. If this is a citizens committee, why would the commercial property owner,
Sure, resident.
unless,
Well, that's not our problem.
that's
Yeah,
not,
it's
no,
right.
but it just, right, exactly.
Right.
But I understand
Yeah,
I share that same sentiment.
I did, I mean,
Yeah.
if the purpose is township committee information to residents throughout our, that makes sense to me.
and the committee, and Steve can be there as,
If they have specific questions about,
they can disseminate information. Steve can give it out to all the business people. But I don't think you need to be a committee.
And I mean, I
part of
do
a
serve on a
committee.
number of committees, right? I serve on the parking committee, I serve on Taylor Park.
It's fairly relevant.
Yeah.
Something else we
Yeah.
did, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
A little everything.
yeah, pretty much anytime somebody needs somebody on a committee, they call me.
Right.
So, but those tend to be,
well, you
Less
help with
controversial.
Parking is fairly essential to.
the
It is.
businesses,
what the
yeah.
township is.
I think this can be a very thorny issue, given, does the CID want to be? Do we want to be subject to, well, Steve Grillo said, or Steve Grillo was in a meeting when,
And that's exactly what.
And
what this-
please take this in the best light. I don't see Steve Grillo sitting back and not saying anything.
Yeah.
So- And I say that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Do
Do you support this?
I have no opinion. I don't think I've ever said that.
Yeah, so, it just seems way outside the scope. of the
Yeah.
organization.
So please
Of what
report
we're
back to
supposed
your town.
and not just Steve, right? It says, or a member
right, I
of
don't
the
think that-
board.
right.
It's like,
If you want to go do it as a
As
resident
the
of the
resident,
town.
right.
knock yourself
yeah,
out.
but not
Or,
as not as.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just find it odd, any,
Nonprofit.
like,
it was.
the whole thing, and I wasn't at the meeting, and
Yeah,
you're saying it
I
was
was at the
contentious.
meeting and it's a contentious issue. Again, we have such an important mission in terms of the township, in terms of our businesses and engagement and all the good things that we're doing. So to wade into this, especially with what I think could be, a lot of, a lot of attention coming, I don't think it's a good idea. Okay,
I agree.
I don't think do we need to vote on this?
No,
That's, I think, consensus
think
in
the
the
consensus
neighborhood.
has been
Yeah.
consented.
But that also doesn't mean that down the road,
So what's the
whatever
next
deal.
step? How does that feedback get back to?
Richard, can bring it up.
There's a township meeting on Monday. and I
Yeah,
will-
if this is
I will,
introduced,
I'll report on it.
The town, okay, I mean, the TC could still insist, right? I mean,
Sure.
it's not, they
They
could
could
just
keep
say,
it.
sorry, that's the role, that's what we feel, right? Could you
I
stop that?
I hope so. I hope so. I really don't think this is a place for it's for Millburn.
Yeah.
but
I
they
agree.
could keep it, depending on.
Members.
how it functions. There's nothing saying they can't. They can recommend it.
Oh, I don't know.
We'll worry about that later.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Okay.
Can we
I-
keep the next meeting date, or do I have to go? advertise
When
it?
is when is the next meeting?
Thursday, December 15th.
That will be your end of year report, will be issued to everyone, and our 2023 meeting dates will be voted on and approved at that meeting.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too long of a meeting. But those are two things.
Is
that
it
have to be done.
possible to start the meeting earlier?
We can notice it earlier if you'd like.
How
Is
would
that
you
really a
feel?
problem for anybody?
I'm just
I
looking
mean-
here.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for me, it's
It's
fine.
a little hard, but if that were to.
You mean like 6 o'clock?
Yeah, or 5:30. is that-
I think,
yeah,
well,
6
yeah,
o'clock?
I can't, yeah, I mean, I'll,
Is there a time that people need to leave? We can limit the agenda to get out in an hour if necessary.
Well, why don't we start at 6 and kind of have a stop at 7:30? Is that possible? We started at 6? Does that work? for
Well,
us?
and if you have to leave early, if Richard, if
Yeah.
you can't get here till 6:30, then
Yeah.
at least you can pick up, you add to the
Yeah,
form. and
okay,
then-
that's fine.
The
Yeah,
only thing is,
understand.
it just has to be noticed in the newspaper.
Yeah.
That's a
So-
process, but if,
For 6
Or
o'clock,
can we keep it a short meeting from 6:30 to 7:30 and keep the agenda very limited?
okay?
makes no
I don't
difference to
know.
me.
I
It's just,
think that's a good, that's a better route. Why don't we do a power hour?
Okay.
Half it.
Yeah, get everything done 1 hour.
What do
Otherwise
we
you have to
normally do?
notice it.
and then
Right.
again,
Well, we're on to 3 hours.
Yeah.
What do we
Well,
normally
we have
do?
to
It's the, it's like last,
year-end
the
report,
year-end.
which I can do for you guys in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you
Right,
can.
um, the usual stuff, treasurer's report,
That's fine.
and that's it. I
Okay,
think.
if I have to scoot out.
Yeah, so then we'll just, with a one hour,
Okay,
I'll
Give us
design
a
the
reason
agenda.
to be very efficient.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
So keeping it at 6:30.
Yeah.
6:30,
Start.
6:30, great.
Got it. Okay.
I didn't force you guys to ask me this question tonight.
okay.
All right, so we'll keep it, just to be clear, Thursday, December 15th, 6:30,
And we'll see you
Real-
all at.
somewhere in this building.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
and we'll see you all at all these
All these
various
events.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We need a
yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
uh,
Second.
So moved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.